We do not have ugly swag. We have spaced out radio gear that you're going to want to wear. Why? Because no one wants to wear ugly clothing. So head on over to spacedoutradio.com and go shopping today. You'll be glad you did. And it's a great way to support our show. Once you get your gear, send us a picture of you rocking out in your SOR swag. spacedoutradio.com. Shop there today and make yourself look good.
Out Radio, the After Hours radio show with me, your host, Mr. Rob G. We're going to have an awesome show tonight. We have a guest, Jimy Bleu, who just embodies Jimi Hendrix. We're going to talk about Jimmy, plus a lot of other things you may not have known about Jimi Hendrix. And this would be the guy that you'd want to talk to or ask questions about any of this. So make sure tonight you guys get all your questions ready. Want to go ahead and welcome everyone who has come in so far. I don't see anything from Race Fans, so I'm just going to go ahead and hop in the chat here and see who has come in first and hand out the medal positions. Looks like Race Fan is in with the gold. Okay, we at least know that. We have Kitty Catty Whack coming in with the silver, saying hi, Rob. And we have Tamark Man coming in with that bronze, saying good evening. We have Robert Lamar Jr. saying hello. We have Lulu Bell saying good evening, all. We have Roger Murray dropping knowledge on us. Happy U.S. President's Day, February 21st, 1965 to 2025, 60th anniversary, the assassination of civil rights leader Malcolm X. Wow, rest in peace, Malcolm X. Jimi Hendrix is God, also seen UFO. And we'll be probably talk about that tonight, Roger Murray. You're ahead of the game. Thanks for keeping us informed as always. Let's see. And Frankie B is in the building. Hi, Frankie B. Thanks for coming on in. We have Chill Farm, Brisbane, saying thanks to Mattel. You have to I have to read stupid stuff you say too. You got me. Okay, I did it. There we go. We got Lil Cam 51 saying present from YouTube, not Twitch this time. That's awesome. We got Ethanol in the building. Hi, Ethanol. Thanks for coming in. Carrying in the Wu Train. Good evening, Mr. Rob. And SOR. Hope you have a great weekend. Hope you do too. Hope everything's been excellent. We're going to end the weekend like we should, right? Get you right into the week. Let's see. Who else do we have? Thirsty is in the building. Turn the Eternal with the alien heads. We have Mark Eddy out in the crowd here saying hi, Rob, Jimmy, and Roomies. Hillbilly Herb is in the building. Overlander BC is in the building. We got Todd Sears in the building. Thanks for coming on in. Tracy Benna. Hey, Tracy. Thanks for showing up tonight. Mr. Tom King. We got to talk soon. Thanks for coming on in. Bim Jim. Thanks for showing up tonight. And Kurt W75, thanks for coming on in. Michelle Ross. Did I say it right? Maybe I didn't. I'm always bad with names. Appreciate you coming on in. And let's see. JMJ12. It looks like we're going to get to everybody, which is always awesome. Glad to be able to do that. Let's start the podcast side real quick because the radio's coming up next. Welcome to Spaced Out Radio, the After Hours radio show with me, your host, Mr. Rob G. We're going to have an awesome show tonight. We have Jimy Bleu for hours 1 and 2. Then we have Steve Stockton, Tells Untold Missing Person Mysteries, and Drew Banky with the After Hours wrap up in hour 3. Awesome show tonight. Just the best way to end your weekend. We're starting radio right now. Let's go. Greetings, space travelers. Welcome home. You've just tuned your dial to Spaced Out Radio, the only place where you can own the night. I am your host, Mr. Rob G. And tonight, we're broadcasting on our terrestrial affiliates across North America, plus digitally on digital platforms all around the world. Don't forget, you can access our archives for absolutely free. YouTube.com/@SpacedOutRadio, where the options are endless. You can stay up to date with the SOR Newswire. You can get yourself some official Spaced Out swag. Plus, you can rock out to the man you hear right there, Mr. Ron Bubba Fitthal, and so much more. As I said, we're going to have a fantastic show tonight. We have Jimy Bleu in the building, embodying Jimi Hendrix. I'm telling you, wait till we get into some of the stuff tonight. It's going to be awesome. We have him for hours 1 and 2. Get your questions ready, because it's going to be a fantastic conversation. I can feel it. Plus, we have Steve Stockton, Tells Untold Missing Person Mysteries, and Drew Banky with the After Hours wrap up for hours 3. And maybe we'll drop in. Usually we drop in some UFO and weird news, and I think we will definitely do some of that tonight. So, yeah, it's going to be an awesome show. I can't wait to kind of, have that release, right? Just have fun tonight. Doesn't have to be 100% UFOs, doesn't always have to be 100% the phenomena, though we will delve into some of that. That will be part of what we talk about tonight, but we're just going to have fun and do something different. And I'm a musician myself. I love music. And so it's great that I, get to do something like this, and it's going to be fun. So with that, without further ado, we're going to go ahead and bring in our guest for the night. The man that embodies this man, Jimy Bleu, embodying Jimi Hendrix. We're going to bring him to the stage. Jimy Bleu, how you doing this evening?
What's up, my brother? How's it going with you, man?
Doing well. And Roger Murray, our guy in the chat, just really brought it to my attention. There's an anniversary date for the assassination of Malcolm X. So, as we are in Black History Month, it is kind of awesome to have someone put that information out there, and RIP Malcolm X, right?
Yeah, that's deep, man.
That's deep. As we get into this conversation, I've been watching you. You were on my guy, Sir Brian Bowden's podcast. I was on there maybe a week or so prior to that. And he's like, man, I see Hendrix up on your wall right there. And he's like, you got to talk to Jimy Bleu. And he was like, I want to set that up. And I'm like, yeah, sure, of course, let's do that. And then Marchetti stepped in, and we got everything situated. And then now here we are. So I told everybody we're going to have fun tonight. We're going to get into some stuff. You're the guy with all the knowledge on this. So we're going to lean into you heavily tonight and, show some of the awesome things that you've gotten into, because not only do you, there's people out there that perform Hendrix, but when he showed me the imagery and I checked out the videos, I was like, nah, this is 1-to-1 for me. So this is going to be great for a lot of people to see out there. But I do want to start with just Jimy Bleu. I want to know who you are. I kind of want to know what you did as a child, what led you into music, what was the first, because for me, my mom bought me a Casio keyboard when I was 9 years old, and that was my first foray into music, playing things that I heard off the radio. So I'd love to hear your story and kind of what got you to where you are now.
Oh man, yeah, I come from a musical family. mother and father were professional musicians. My grandfather, a professional actor and a musician, and they've done some good things, some great things up there in the industry. And as a young child raised in Queens, New York, I wasn't into music. I was hanging around guys who were older than me who were into gangs,
Yeah.
pulling burglaries and stuff. That was my
Yeah.
excitement. So it wasn't until I got into middle school that I had a Jewish music teacher force me to take up an instrument. And I'm like, well, my parents do music. I don't want to do music. And they, it was like mandatory. You had to take an instrument. So
Mhm.
that's what got me started, man. And I'm still friends with the teacher to this day. Every time I see him, I hug him and kiss him, man, because he saved my life.
Yeah. Yeah.
So as a child, I was doing all right. Um, Middle school, I was in this band called the Fabulous Uniques, and we were doing Cool in the Gang. And we were doing the second part of the show. I was doing a James Brown tribute. I was imitating James Brown as a kid. So we were opening for all of these. We actually opened for Cool in the Gang, the Isleys, and we
Wow.
little kids, right? So, like I said, I was doing all right until I went to high school. And my high school was in the middle of Times Square. It was called a High School of Performing Arts from the movie Fame. And how do you take
Okay.
a mama's boy from Queens, conservative mama's boy, and put him in the middle of Times Square and hope everything's going to be all right? So that was
Wow.
my explosion into what was going on, and eventually led to me running into Jimy.
Wow. Okay. So you met Jimy. That's awesome to know. Okay. I'd love to hear about that. What was the first instrument that you picked up when you in middle school?
In middle school, like I said, the first part of the show with the Uniques, I was playing trombone
Okay.
and doubling on trombone and trumpet. And then the second part of the show, I'd put that down and get on the mic and do James Brown. It's cute.
Okay.
But yeah, it was trombone and trumpet, and that's what I auditioned for performing arts, as a matter of fact.
Were you reading sheet music?
Oh yeah, you had to do all of that when you went to a music school and you took up music professionally. You had to read music. Matter of fact, you had to study music like a science, as if you were studying physics. I say that
Mhm.
because it's very important today, because a lot of musicians out there do not study music. They're good ear players, but to study the actual science of sound and resonance in music, very few and far between, my brother.
Yeah, that's deep. That's real heavy. And the East Coast is a good place for that. There's a lot of performing arts schools out there, and you hear a lot of stories with musicians that come from the East Coast talking about taking paths like that. Like for me, I was a person that came in initially playing by ear. Then I got into middle school, same as you, picked up the saxophone, the alto, the clarinet, the trumpet, and that's where I started reading sheet music, played the violin a little bit. So, I've done a lot, but then I got into hip hop, which really isn't really instrument based per se. A lot of it's electronic instruments, but I still have a love for it. I have a guitar at home right now that I'm trying to teach myself. So I'm gonna have to lean on you for some of that because I'm learning chords and things right now, and just really how to hold the thing. And I don't know if there's anything that you'd be able to tell me behind the scenes to kind of give me a jump start on that, or if it's something I'm just gonna have to go through the paces with. What's your opinion on that?
Oh man, you need to take advantage of the free university, man, before they shut it down. YouTube.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm heavily on that.
You go to YouTube, you get the guy who looks like a nerd. Don't get the pros. Get a guy who looks like a nerd. Study his videos, and you be straight, man.
Okay. Yeah, yeah. So you said you met Jimy, which is awesome. I didn't know that. What was the encounter? Like how did this happen?
Oh man. Okay. Let me see. Junior year of high school, I was trying to get with this girl who used to come to school almost every day, telling her stories about, she was a groupie, so all of these rock acts that would come to town. And back
Mhm.
then, talking about the late '60s, uh, it was like she was with everybody. Led Zeppelin, yes. Chicago, Humble Pie. She was one of the main groupies for these acts, and she come and tell us stories. I wasn't into kind of rock that much. My cousin Billy was more into it. He was hanging in the village and stuff like that. But I was still, like I said, I was still mama boyism. So I wasn't really a rocker. Some of it was okay. Yeah, you know, I was more into Sly, if anything. And so the thing is, I was trying to get with her, and one day she came to school with this button, this orange and blue button, and it said, "The official Jimi Hendrix fan club Warner Reprise Records." So I'd heard of Jimi Hendrix, and people were talking about him in school, and I'm like, "Oh, okay." So I guess if I join the fan club like she did, I can get with her. So I went down with her actually to Mike Jeffries, Jimmy's manager's office, and joined the fan club, the USA fan club. Jimmy had two. He had one in London and he had one in USA. So I went and joined the fan club. Now I never did get to go with the girl, you know, get with her. But that was my beginning into the whole Hendrix thing. I started to listen to him more. Than one day where we used to go over this apartment right in Times Square. One of the students would have this uncle's apartment that we would use to go and get high, trip, and everything. And he was supposed to be at work, but he came home early and he caught us. So we like, down, down, down. You know, it's all over, man. The look on his face saw us in there, like, you know, just getting it on, right? So the thing is, he told us, get up, took us in this. When he opened the door, it's a editing room. And back then the equipment was big, so it took up the whole room, video film editing room, right? And he had us sit down, and come to find out, he was one of the photographers who filmed the Monterey Pop Festival in 1967.
Wow.
So he had the raw footage, some of it, not all of it, but the raw footage of the Monterey Pop Festival. And he's scanning through it. He's showing us different things. So I'm waiting to see Otis Redding because I was still like really leaning towards soul music. And Otis Redding was one of my, you know, hero. I'm like, I can't wait to see Otis. I knew he was there. And just then Jimmy came up, and I said to myself, I have never seen a guy move with a guitar like that. Forget about the playing. The way he moved while he was playing.
Yeah,
I was like, I wasn't really a guitarist to really get technically why he was so proficient back then. But the way he moved, like, it reminded me of a shaman.
Yeah.
Because I was really into sci-fi then. I was really into mystical stuff and the way shamans moved. And, you know, I was like, wow, I've never seen nobody do that. Now, Rob, I ain't seen nobody do that today. You know, and some of you know, like viewers out there, man, go and check out the Monterey Pop footage and look at Jimmy. And I say that because he was never able to match that intensity again in his career, in his brief career. And I guess that's because that concert really had to count. That was his breakthrough to America. So that really had to count. But that's what got me started. I said to myself, that's what I want to do for the rest of my life. So, yeah, since 1968, I've been performing the only authentic Jimi Hendrix show.
Wow.
I'm in my 57th year.
Wow.
And that's what started it. And basically, okay, I started out as, Jimmy this, I'm a Jimmy freak. I want to be the next Jimi Hendrix. But the thing is, as I got older, it led me to who I was and find my own spiritual path by the spiritual path that he eventually got into about a year before he died.
Wow, that is awesome. That is epic. And to know that you've been carrying that since 1968. So he was still alive at the time that you started this.
Oh, yeah, we actually got him to speak to a small assembly at Performing Arts, as a matter of fact. All of you guys out there that go to music school, you know that when it's still a tradition today, when famous musicians come to town, they speak at a music school from that town. So Performing Arts, we had stellar people, jazz, classical, and they wasn't too keen on Hendrix speaking. there. But my teacher pushed, and my music teacher, and it wasn't a formal assembly. It was about 10 of us that he spoke to at Performing Arts. But he used to hang there on the steps with his drummer, Buddy Miles, because Buddy Miles was dating a girl whose sister went to Performing Arts. So they would go there, sit on the steps and smoke. It was a hangout.
Yeah. And because my mother, because Hendrix is before my time, but my mother, she was of that era and is of that era, and she used to tell me about how here on the West Coast, I know he's played out here on the West Coast, and that there used to be a lot of free concerts back in the day, and a lot of these artists were accessible, like they weren't these big celebrities, they were hanging out with everybody. So I thought that was pretty cool, and I know I saw him play something in the Bay Area. What did he think about you picking up, his legacy? How did he get a chance to see you play, and did he have an opinion on any of it at all?
No, he didn't get to see me do his show. He did get to see me, but I hung around him a few times with other members of the fan club. He never knew my name. It's not like, hey, Blue, it wasn't like that. We were kids, 15 and 16, and he always acknowledged his fan club. So every time I was around him, it was with other members of the fan club. And he saw us, and he would be playing, and he'd show us things. And I was the only one of those members who was left-handed. So he was showing me things left-handed that I could pick up. And basically, that's pretty much what did it. There was one time he was sitting on the steps of Performing Arts, and I was trying to get his attention. He was moping. He had his head down. And I was speaking out loud like, oh, yeah, I got a gig coming. I was playing for free in the Village. And I'm like, I got this gig. Yeah, blah, blah, and I'm going to kill it. And blah, blah, blah. Like I said, 15 and 16, dude. So he heard, and he turned around, and he said, oh, really? What are you going to be playing? So I was like, oh, I'm going to be doing Purple Haze. I'm going to be Foxy Lady, and I'm going to be doing Fire. And I went on trying to impress him by saying I'm going to do his songs. And he put his hand up, and he had a joint in his hand. He was smoking. And he put his hand up to stop me from speaking. And he said, when you do you, I'll come and see you play. And that statement changed my life for the rest of my life. That got me more into finding out who I am, even though I am doing a Hendrix show, which eventually I did. He also told me about this college called Berklee College of Music. Quincy Jones and Larry Coryell. Larry Coryell was showing him jazz chords and stuff like that, which he utilized at Woodstock. You can hear, all of you out there into Hendrix, you listen to Villanova Junction at Woodstock. That's Larry Coryell recordings, man. That's the stuff Larry was showing him. And they both, Quincy Jones and Larry Coryell, were telling him about this college that had a full jazz curriculum, not like Juilliard and the other ones that had classical. It was jazz. So all of the hip people were going to Berklee. So Hendrix told us about it. And he was fired up, man. He said, oh, man, it's this jazz and blah, 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 blah. And so he was taking a correspondence course for Berklee. I actually saw the paperwork for that. I would say about maybe 3-4 months before he died, he was taking a correspondence course for Berklee. But he told about 4 of us about that college. And so all 4 of us took the test. I was the only one who made the test for Berklee.
Wow. I heard that after he passed, that you had actually done some work with some of his bandmates. Is that correct?
Oh, just about all of them except for Mitch and Noel. As a matter of fact, last August, we brought 3 of his former bandmates together for a concert that we did at Suffolk Theater. We brought Billy Cox, who's a close friend, Juma Sultan, who's like my blood brother, and Jerry Velez is also a good friend. And we brought them together on the stage together, and for the first time in many years. So I've played with just about everybody connected with Hendrix. I jammed with Buddy Miles. Buddy Miles was having tooth surgery one time and couldn't do a gig in Long Island, and he recommended my band Voodoo Child for that gig. And so, I mean, yeah, all of these cats, man, they are really hip to what I'm doing, and they endorse it fully with what I'm doing with my Hendrix show.
Yeah, and I think what people should understand with that is that, I mean, first of all, if you're playing Hendrix, you have to be an exceptional artist yourself. Just for starters, you yourself, you have to be exceptional artist. Now, I was reading through your bio and said that you had opened for acts like Aerosmith, Wilson Pickett, Slade, Betty Wright, J.Geils Band, Joe Tex, Foghat, New Birth, Al Green, the Black Crows, Shirley Caesar, Jimmy Castor, the Ohio Players, Graham Central Station, and Isaac Hayes, to name a few. Wow. What were, if you could talk about, and I guess we have about 3 minutes left, pick one of those acts there and talk about like one of your most memorable performances with opening for one of those acts.
Okay, well, that list I didn't just open. I backed up on guitar. Some of those people, for instance, Al Green, which I
Mm,
do an Al Green show as well as a Hendrix show because of that. And an interesting fact about Al Green, he had 3 of Hendrix's guitar players in his band.
wow.
The first one was Larry Lee, who was with Hendrix at Woodstock, became Al Green's musical director. You can go to YouTube and see videos of Al Green on Soul Train, and you see Larry Lee, Hendrix's guitar player, playing behind him. Then he had Hendrix protege named Velvet Turner, who a lot of people don't write too much about, but this guy knows more about Hendrix than any of these books that are out there. He played guitar behind Al, and then when he stopped playing guitar, he gave the gig to me. So there you go, man. There's 3 people connected with Hendrix who backed up Al.
With a band like Ohio Players, just everyone, I mean, everybody in that band plays. So did you play with them? Did you get a chance to play with them?
We opened for them, and I got to hang out mainly with Sugarfoot, and they live up to the name. Ohio Players,
Yeah,
they
yeah,
play. And you know what I mean when I don't, we on the mic here. I don't want to say it, but
yeah.
they play, dude. And I don't mean musically. I had a good time with them guys, man.
These are like, I mean, all these names are names that I admire, idolize, just as from a musical standpoint, being a musician coming up. These are the acts that my parents would play. So I know a lot of the music front to back. So it's awesome to know that you had a connection with these artists as well. What did you do? Did you ever step out and do anything that would have been labeled Jimy Bleu? Like, did you record any albums, original works?
Uh, I recorded albums, uh, wasn't released, but yeah, late '80s, early '90s, I was signed to Columbia Def Jam
Mm,
Records by Russell Simmons, who became my manager,
wow.
and he signed me with an all-female backup band. So yeah, I've always do, and I still always do my original project. But Russell, matter of fact, was the one who told me because I figured I'm signed to Columbia, I could stop doing Hendrix. I'm like, oh, now I can concentrate on Jimy Bleu, man. He said, "What are you out of your mind? You do it better than anybody on the
Yeah.
planet." You know what I mean? No, no, no. You keep on doing that. He's the one who really verified for me to keep doing it.
Yeah, and we're gonna see some of that because I'm gonna definitely play some of this stuff for the audience because I want the audience to kind of feel the music, and that's the best way I could say it.
Mhm.
And we'll talk about others because there's some other people that try to do Jimmy tribute bands, and it just, for me, when I saw you play, I was and the aesthetic and the holding the guitar, all that stuff. I mean, that all goes into putting on a real tribute show. So we're gonna go ahead and get into some of that plus a lot more right after we come back from this break, guys. Don't go anywhere. We got Jimy Bleu in the building for hours 1 and 2, talking music with Jimmy and aliens, even maybe. We'll get into that and more when we come back. Spaced Out Radio, the After Hours Radio Show. All right, we are clear. We are clear. And then Blue Moon is out there saying, "Kiss the Sky, great tribute." This guy right here, you guys are gonna be amazed. I'm not just saying stuff. We gonna find out tonight. We're gonna find out tonight. Let's see who has snuck in here since the opening of the show. Jessica S. Hey, Jessica S. Thanks for coming on in. Let's see. And Joanne. Hey, and Joanne. Thanks for coming in. And the guitar professionals saying thank you. And let me guess, you must be here for Jimy Bleu tonight, the guitar professionals. Just can tell by your name, but we appreciate you coming in. And if you wouldn't mind, hit that subscribe button and consider coming back. We do this 7 days a week. You'll catch me on the weekend, Saturday and Sundays, with the After Hours radio show, 8 p.m. Pacific until 11 p.m. Pacific. And then you'll get Dave Scott, Monday through Friday, conductor of the Woo Train, 9 p.m. Pacific until midnight. So there's 7 days. Plus, we have Element 115 on Fridays from 8 to 9 p.m. Pacific. So, 7 days a week. Always something going on here. Spaced Out Radio. Ciela Azul, thanks for coming in. Appreciate you showing on up here tonight. Paramarv stepped in the building. Hey, Paramarv, thanks for coming in. Stargazer, appreciate you showing up tonight. Carl Bittner, human Carl Bittner, saying hi, Jessica S. Appreciate you coming in, Carl Bittner. Let's see here. Moving back, did we miss anyone or do we have everybody? Let's see. FAP. Hey, FAP. Thanks for showing up tonight. Let's see. Who else do we got here? Lead the Bee. Thanks for coming on in, Lead the Bee. And Woo Riders DG. Appreciate you coming on in. Let's see. Okay, Tom King giving some pointers here, saying start guitar by copying a riff off your favorite songs. Play something your girlfriend or your wife likes. That's how I started on that Casio keyboard. I was just playing. I don't even want to date myself, man, but I was playing Sheila E. Sheila E. off the radio. Let's see. Okay, and let's see. Okay, we're going back. All right, looks like we are all caught up. Yeah, awesome stuff. It's cool to be able to talk music, man. I'm just so, I'm in this space where we talk the phenomenon, which is fine because it's a big deal, but it's cool to be able to step outside of that sometimes and talk about something that I really like as well, which is music. So, and to be able to appreciate someone who really does this, you know what I mean? So, yeah. So this is actually an honor for me, man. So just want you to know that, Jimy Bleu.
Hey man, it's an honor for me to be here, man. Just let me say, man, you mentioned Sheila E. That's one of my heroines, man. You guys, if you haven't already, man, you need to go to YouTube and check her out playing drums behind Prince, playing a double kick drum set, playing her off behind Prince on that tour. That's killer, man. That's real killer.
Yeah, Sheila E is something else, man. She is, yeah. I mean, I think our demographic, I think most of these people in here do definitely know because we're in the older age bracket here. Not a lot of young ones, even though it'd be cool to get some young ones in here so we could school them on some of this old stuff. But yeah.
Man, they school me sometimes, man.
I'm telling you. Yeah, you can learn from anyone. Yeah, definitely. Yep. BMR, Big for Michigan Rob, which I'll be on the show on Tuesday, hanging out with BMR. Said love Sheila E in the day. Yeah, she's still bad today.
Mm-hmm.
She's still man. Let's see. Okay, Blue Moon said Jimy Bleu coming on here tonight to see you speak just made my day. My heart is just fluttering. Wait till you hear the man's music. We're gonna get into some of that pretty soon here. And I actually want to bring up the imagery as well. So I sent up this. This is the thumbnail essentially. You guys saw the thumbnail. That's Come on, man. Let's be real. That is yeah.
Yeah, that picture's from when we do Jimmy at Monterey Pop Festival. He came out with a jacket that had eyeballs and was actually painted by Mick Jagger's brother. And then he came out with a bow and that jacket. Then he took it off after the
right
first
there.
and second song.
Oh, right there, Jimmy. Here we go. All right, everybody. Welcome back to Spaced Out Radio, the After Hours Radio Show. We are back in the building with our guest tonight, Jimy Bleu. We're talking Jimi Hendrix. We're talking music, just in general, right? If you're a fan of music, you're going to enjoy tonight's show. Also, we're going to be talking about some of Jimmy's experiences. Maybe he wrote songs about aliens. Maybe he didn't. We're going to look at that more. If you missed any of what we talked about so far, hop in the archive, youtube.com/at Spaced Out Radio. So as we get back into the show, for the radio audience, I have the thumbnail for the show that we have put together where Jimy Bleu is in his full Jimi Hendrix attire. And you were talking about what show, what review show this is. So if you wouldn't mind telling them about that.
Yeah, well, the group that I'm with now, called Kiss the Sky, it's like a Broadway play type show. And we cover all of Jimi Hendrix's iconic performances in full costume, era equipment, different sidemen for each of those shows. Jimmy had 2 white guys, he had 2 black guys, he had a 5-piece band at Woodstock, interracial band at the final Cry of Love tour. So we do all of that. And the picture that you're looking at is actually that thumbnail is from when we do Jimmy at Monterey Pop Festival. He came out with a jacket that had like a psychedelic painted jacket that had eyeballs in the front that was painted by Mick Jagger's brother. And actually, after the first or second song, he also had a boa on. He took off the boa and he took off that jacket. And that's what you see there is what he was wearing. Included the painted guitar towards the end of the show and everything, man. So we, like I said, we cover it all in detail. This goes way beyond tribute, dude. Way beyond.
Yeah. And that's the thing. And that's why, I was before the show, I was like, I don't feel comfortable calling this like a Jimi Hendrix impersonator, right? Because that's what people use. I'm like, no, it's not that. I'm like, it's actually like embodiment of the artist. It literally is, and that's why we're going to show some video to kind of back that up. Because even for me, I was struggling with the right word to use on that, and I think embodiment is probably the closest and best thing that we could use here. So, and let's actually do that, because I know I have a couple things queued up here, and essentially we should be okay on the copyright stuff, right? You were telling me something about that, Jimmy.
Oh yeah, no doubt. Yeah.
Okay. So I'm gonna go ahead and play here. I want to make sure it doesn't get too loud. This is gonna be the Kiss the Sky Hendrix tribute. And let me go ahead and cue this up. And radio audience, obviously you'll hear this, so let me make this happen, guys. Okay. And so this is what we're doing here. Let's go.
I was at Woodstock, and it's pretty damn close to Woodstock.
Anyone who does not see the show is missing out. Yes. If you haven't seen Jimmy, this is your opportunity to see Jimmy.
You're the closest you're gonna get.
Scale 1 to 10.
10. 12. Nice.
It's a great show. Fantastic.
1 to 10.
Love Carrie.
Highly recommend it to anyone. Scale of 1 to 10. Oh, 12.
I think this Mitch Mitchell is better than the original one. Just saying.
The longer the show went on, the better it got.
Yeah.
He is incredible.
It was awesome. I may not have been born in the 60s, but that doesn't mean I don't wish I was. And I listen to Jimi Hendrix all the time, and I really thought it was pretty awesome.
Scale of 1 to 10.
10.
Fantastic. We had a great time.
How'd you like Kiss the Sky?
It was amazing.
So that is awesome right there. That is awesome work. And obviously, just if you've seen any of Jimmy's performances, Jimi Hendrix, then you can see that Jimmy has it 1-to-1. I mean, there is no mistaking that. I would almost think they would reach out to you for a movie. If I'm doing a Jimmy movie, I'm casting Jimy Bleu for that. Have you had anything like that come across your desk at any point during this time?
No, the only thing I've had with this is pushback because of what you just saw. It's real. You know what I mean? There's no gimmicks there. It's real. And you know, Rob, you know this, man. Realness always stands alone, my brother. You know what I'm saying? So that's what's going on with that. I like to say though, but what you saw was the fans speak. You saw Kiss the Sky, which would not be possible without my partner, Mike Gotch, who actually is the producer of the show. And he and I have the same vision of presenting Jimmy the way he's supposed to be presented. You know what I mean? With just as if you were doing Beatlemania on Broadway, Janis Joplin on Broadway, Jimi Hendrix should be presented that way, and he's not even by his own family. So what I'm saying is, this is why what we do, Mike and I, is very, very important, and which is why, to answer your question again, no, nobody's going to approach me with that, man. You know what I mean? Because you saw it for yourself.
What would be the like, I'm just trying to wrap my head around why there would be this sort of energy towards you when you're obviously paying homage to one of the greatest guitarists that ever lived. Like, what do you think the real issue is there? I don't get it. I don't understand it.
We'll talk about that off the mic.
Okay. That is bugging me. It's bugging me because it's I think there should definitely just be you should be open to be able to pay homage, and it just bothers me because, and I'll say this, because I'm a karaoke artist at this point, right? I'm retired from a lot of the other stuff I used to do, and I just enjoy doing karaoke music now. So, and when I get into karaoke mode, I'm trying to do my best, whoever it is that I'm just sitting up there singing, and I don't feel like I'm doing anything wrong, and I'm just like, it just bugs me and bothers me to know that. So with that being said, how about some of the artists that Jimmy has worked with? Like, have you come across them on the road? Some of the bands he may have toured with, and did they, have any opinions on how great the performance was?
Oh yes, spoken to many people who not only backed up Jimmy, and Jimmy backed up, but who may have come across him out there on the road. And to come to mind, before he got famous, he backed up many R&B soul people, and many of them, and this was thanks to his bass player Billy Cox, who was actually set that up for Jimmy, because Billy was playing bass behind a lot of these artists, Jackie Wilson, Crystals. I mean, go down the list of these people. And so, yeah, Jimmy opened up backed up these people, and they had a lot to say. I also spoke to Little Richard a little bit about Hendrix, and this was when Little Richard was kind of sick, so he wasn't the flamboyant, he was able to sit down and have a regular conversation.
Yeah.
And he had inspiring words about Jimmy. So yeah, man, I've spoken to quite a few people who Jimmy backed up.
Where are you currently still touring the show right now?
Yes, since 2016, I hooked up with Mike Gotch and been touring with Kiss the Sky. And basically, we even before that, it was around the world 3 times with a Hendrix show. But this is we're mainly in the United States now. In August, we're going to Australia. This is basically the only thing I can do, Rob. So I'll probably be doing this till I die. You know what I mean?
Do it well. I'm asking because I want to catch a show, and I'm sure there's people out here that would love to catch a show. Do you have dates on a site somewhere that people can check out?
Yes, you can. If you go to kisstheskytribute.com, we're updating the tour dates now. We just got a lot of new things in because of the new year, but that site has our tour dates listed. Also, you can go to my Linktree, Jimy Bleu, JIMYBLEU on Linktree, and that has all of my sites, including the Al Green Show. So I mean, there's a lot of information on there as well.
Yeah, because I want to catch you. I want to catch you when you're on the West Coast. I definitely want to link up. I'm about an hour north of LA, so when you're out this way, I gotta come see the show. There are rumors, and maybe it's not a rumor, maybe it's fact, but there was something where they said Jimi Hendrix may have actually had an encounter with the extraterrestrial, him and the band on the road, I guess, going to New York City from somewhere. I don't remember from where, but and then on this road trip, they encountered something. I guess they got stuck in the snow. Do you know this story? And are you able to speak to this story at all?
Not that particular story, but there's an encounter that Jimmy had with his brother Leon when they were kids, a UFO encounter that really changed Jimmy for the rest of his life. Leon can talk better about that. But Jimmy was, let me tell you something, Rob. He was the original UFO rock poster boy. Simple as that, man. When you go through, he came out the box UFO from the first 2 albums. As a kid, he idolized Buster Crabbe from the Flash Gordon movies.
Okay.
So he used to have people call him Buster when he was a little kid. You couldn't call him Jimmy or James, you had to call him Buster. So that really had an influence on him, man, and got him more into sci-fi. So when he hooked up with the guy who made it all possible for him, when Jimmy got the backing and everything, Chas Chandler, his producer, when he hooked up with Chas, he borrowed a lot of sci-fiction books from Chas. Chas was a sci-fi nut. And so that set him off. So when he did the first 2 albums, a lot of that is incorporated into those albums, a lot of what he got from Chas Chandler. I happened to speak to Chas at length for about 2 hours and was able to sit down and speak to him. And the stuff that he told me about Jimmy with science fiction, man, yikes, man. It's but yeah, man, let's go to his songs, man. Wait, I got songs over here, man. Where Chas had this book that he lent Jimmy called Earth Abides. Sci-fi book, and so that's where Jimmy got a lot of ideas for Third Stone from the Sun, and Up from the Skies, according to Chas. That's basically 1967. On his second album, there's a song called EXP, where his drummer portrays an alien visitor No, is interviewing an alien visitor. Hendrix pretends to be an alien, and so the drummers interview it before the song comes in up from the skies. Then you got on Electric Ladyland, which everybody out there who's actually tuned into this podcast should have that album, should have that CD called Electric Ladyland. Definitely pick that out up. And he has a song on there called 1983, A Merman I Should Turn to Be, where he talks about an apocalyptic thing that's happening, and him and his girl, they walk to the sea, man, to get away from this and become underwater beings. So,
Wow.
you know what I mean? I go on, man. But this guy was, like I said, the original poster boy for sci-fi in the rock music world.
Yeah, there was. I was looking into this, and I guess there was a story where him and his band, there was blizzard conditions, and they were driving from 100 miles away from New York City. They were driving into New York City, and they hit a snowbank. The car got stuck. This craft ended up coming down. Apparently, moved closer towards the car. They were freezing cold as they were stuck. They were actually also falling asleep, and they think maybe it was because of carbon monoxide from the tailpipes being stuffed. But then they said this object, whatever it was, kind of warmed up the vehicle and sort of melted the snow a little bit to where they were able to become unstuck, and they continued their drive. This is what I heard. I don't know if it's a valid story, but this is something that I saw someone kind of referring to when I was doing some research. So, and you find a lot of artists in that time frame that had songs about aliens or UFOs for whatever reason. Did you hear? This was another thing that I don't know if it's true or not, but they said that during Jimmy's performance at Woodstock, that someone was saying that there was a UFO present at Woodstock while he was performing. Had you heard that at all?
Well, I was at Woodstock, and while he was performing, I was on actually in front in what they call the mud pit where the photographers were, but I was on the side where Jimmy was, and I didn't see any UFO. Maybe it happened, but you got to understand too, Rob. When you hear these stories, you got to keep in mind the times back then.
Yeah.
Everybody was tripping.
Yeah.
I mean, popping LSD like crazy, smoking, doing. So other people were doing other things. So when people come to me, or I give lectures on Hendrix, lecture demonstrations, and a lot of times I get questions, and somebody will say, "Oh, well, Jimmy said blah 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 blah, and he said blah 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 blah," and I'm like, "Yeah, but what was his state of mind when he said it?
Yeah.
What was he tripping on?" You gotta be very discerning with this guy. You know what I mean? Because he was constantly high, and that had a lot to do with him dealing with the problems that was going on. Once he got hip to what was going on, especially with his management and the things that were happening with the government with this guy, it was like that's the only way he can deal. 26, 25, 26, 27-year-old man. That's the way he was dealing with it.
And just to put it in perspective, how long was his career?
Barely 4 years. Barely.
That is crazy.
But look what he did in those 4 years. He influenced the whole industry that was not supposed to be influenced by black people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Rock is considered non-black. You know what I mean? And to this day, he's the #1 rock guitar player. You know what I mean? He's the first name that pops up when you think rock guitar. And only 4 years to make it happen. You know what I mean? It's an amazing career.
That is, and that's almost like Tupac for me. Like Tupac had a very short career, very impactful, and it kind of reminds me of that. But does that 4 years include when he was doing backup for like the Isleys and other groups? Is that in that 4-year window, or is it make it because he wasn't obviously the main attraction doing the backup at the time? So does that extend his career a little bit then?
Oh yeah, I thought you meant his stardom. His stardom was about 4 years,
Yeah.
but just like a lot of the other musicians back then, even in myself later on in life, but we did what was called a chilling circuit.
Yeah.
That's where you cut your teeth at, and he did that for many years before he got discovered, and he was starting to lose hope until he ran into his, I should say, even before Chas Chandler, his girlfriend Linda Keith, who was also the guitar player for the Rolling Stones girlfriend. I ain't gonna even get into that one, but she, let Jimmy. She actually groomed Jimmy and should be given a lot of credit for making Jimi Hendrix what he is and the way we know him, because she got him ready for people, that she can bring people down to present him when he was doing his own band at the Cafe War and a few other places. So she got him really stage ready and dress ready and everything. And she would bring these people down, and all of them said, no, I don't see nothing here, except for Chas Chandler, who just was, stunned and said, yeah, I see it. And the rest is history.
How do you get this one-to-one wardrobe stuff? Like, where are you finding this gear here in present day? Like, where do you go to this? Is someone making this, or where are you finding the material at?
Yeah, some of it is made. Some of it you can, I guess you can find online. I've seen a few things online, but again, that's thanks to Mike Gotch. Mike put all that. All I got to do is get on the stage and play.
Ah, nice.
Basically, and there is no other guy doing Hendrix. Like, you go see MJ on Broadway, Michael Jackson. It's like 3 Michael Jacksons. You know what I mean? But no. For 2.5, sometimes 3 hours, there's one guy doing all of Jimmy's concerts from the beginning of his stardom till the end of his stardom. And like I said, all I do is come on stage and play. Everything is made ready for me thanks to Mike Gotch. He's the producer. He makes everything happen. He gets the clothes. We actually have the replica of the Woodstock jacket. It's made by a Native American brother. And the exact jacket that he wore at Woodstock. We have a lot of exact thingies that Jimmy had. We also have the light show that was used. We licensed the light show from a friend of ours, Joshua White, who actually had the light show for the Fillmore East back in the day for a lot of these rock acts. So this is authentic as it can be, man.
I don't know if this will put you on the spot or not. Do you, in hour 2, I don't know how ready you are, but or would you be able to pick up that guitar and just do a lick or something live real quick, just something to kind of just something in front of the audience?
Yeah, okay.
You don't have to plug up or anything. Just
I'll dig it up.
Okay, that would be awesome. That would be awesome to just see you lick like that real quick. And so we're coming up actually to the break right now. So that's something that we'll do. Wow, that's going to be awesome. Jimmy is going to play something essentially live for us, and we're going to also show some more of these videos of performances, because like I said, it's 1-to-1 performances when we're talking about, if you know anything about Jimmy, if you go and watch some of Jimmy's videos, Jimi Hendrix, and then you turn right around and watch Jimy Bleu. And I'm saying this because I've seen other, I know there's at least another guy or maybe a couple guys that attempt to do Jimmy out there. And I think a big part of it isn't just being able to play and sing the songs. Like, you literally, if you're going to do this right, you have to literally channel that person. You have to bring the voice. You have to bring the mannerisms. All those things matter when you're putting on these shows. And when I compare it to other guys who are attempting to do that, they're not doing all that. You know what I mean? But you definitely are within your show. So it's going to be awesome, guys. Don't go anywhere. Hour number 2 is going to be even better than hour number 1 right here on Spaced Out Radio, the After Hours radio show. We will see you right after this break.
Conversations that move the needle.
Conversations that move the needle.
You're listening to After Hours with Mr. Rob G on the only place where you can own the night. Spaced Out Radio.
Spaced Out Radio.
You've tuned your dial to the right frequency.
All right, guys, we'll be right back. All right, welcome back to Spaced Out Radio, the After Hours Radio Show, after hour number 2, as we are jumping back into the conversation with our guest here, Jimy Bleu, who embodies, who channels Jimi Hendrix. He's going to play some live for us this half, and I can't wait. I appreciate it, and it's a special thing to be able to watch somebody play something live. We have about 15 seconds before we come back from radio break here. Guys, this is where you pose your questions. If you have any, I've marked some of them so far. If you have any other questions, put them in caps so I can check them out. We're coming back from radio right about now. All right, everybody, welcome back to Spaced Out Radio, the After Hours Radio Show, after hour number 2, back with our fantastic guest, Jimy Bleu, channeling Jimi Hendrix, just an amazing artist, both individuals. As we get into that conversation and maybe hear something special this half, we're going to also show some more of the videos so you can hear some of the playing styles of Jimy Bleu right here. If you missed any of the conversation, jump back in the archives. Absolutely free. YouTube.com/at Spaced Out Radio. And yes, so Jimy, right there, there's a guy who he's a former guitarist for Guns N' Roses as his Bumblefoot. I'm not sure if you're familiar with Bumblefoot, but he does those intros, the radio bumps right there to come bring us back in. Very awesome.
Those are nice.
If you ever get to check him out, he has a YouTube page, Bumblefoot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm familiar with him. Yeah.
I saw him play. He plays that double neck guitar thing. I'm like, wow, that's crazy. But so getting into the conversation here, back into the conversation. So Jimi Hendrix, very short career. We talked about that. We compared it to a Tupac just as far as the impact in such a short period of time. The name will never be not spoken when it comes into conversations of the greatest, which is crazy because when you look at rock and roll, and not to mention the fact that, as you stated, he's a black man within rock and roll, but there's great rock artists, guitarists that have been playing for the last 50 years, strong and really great and awesome at what they do. And then Jimmy steps in 4 years and just kind of takes the moniker. It's pretty amazing. Did you have anything else to add to that before we get to you and your guitar licks?
You said it all, man. Very eloquently, man. That's basically what happened. Like you was mentioning, Bumblefoot, some of my heroes, Steve Vai, Satriani, these guys are technical wizards. You know what I mean? Jimmy would be amazed at what these guys do. He admired technical wizards. The thing that made Jimmy different was he had the whole package, meaning he had the proficiency for back then in the 60s. And he had the guitar proficiency, but he also had the voice to go with it, a sort of like a sing talk style. And early in his career, he had the movement. So he was able to play, and the movement that affects the delivery of what you're playing. Singers know this when they move. It affects the delivery coming out their mouth. Rappers know this. That's why you see rappers always moving when they spit. So Jimmy was doing that with the guitar. And like I said, nobody today plays guitar like that. You know what I mean? It was a cool way of half dancing and half playing that Jimmy did. So he had the whole package, and he was able to put that together with incredible songs, get together with a producer, Chas Chandler, who was able to take his proficiency and craft it into 3-minute gems on those first 2 albums, man. Anybody want to get an idea of Hendrix was, pick up the first 3 albums. Are You Experienced, Axis Boulder's Love, and Electric Ladyland. You will definitely be straight. It will lead you to Band of Gypsies and maybe the other ones, but those 3 are must-have to understand what he was doing.
And I think one of the bigger probably unknowns for a lot of people who aren't really haven't looked into this is Jimmy played so many different styles of music. And you know, he played soul. I love his take on blues. I love his take on blues and the rock edge that he gives to the blues. I like infusing different genres of music together. And I told my friend, as I was, getting to the back half of the hip hop career that I was in, and I told him, because he also plays instruments, and I'm like, we need to get together in a few years and bring this band together. And I wanted to do, and I still want to do, still going to attempt to do, to bring a different take on jazz. I want to do something like Hendrix did, which is infuse something else into jazz to make it not just jazz. I know you understand what I'm saying there.
Mm-hmm.
So it's something that I'm inspired to do, and I'm definitely going to do. But going back to all the different styles that he was able to play, I feel like, and because you embody him so well, and I don't know if you've ever thought about this, but one of the artists that I look at when I think of Hendrix is Prince. Prince's playing style is you can see where the inspiration is when it comes to Hendrix. And have you ever attempted to play Prince at any point, like just on the guitar, any of that?
Oh yeah, I've been with quite a few top 40 bands, and you had to do Prince songs. I highly respect Prince. He went a lot further than Jimmy did in the craft of music, and he's one of my heroes as well. But you have to keep in mind, Prince was more pop, who did rock. You know what I mean? Jimmy, like you said, did many styles. He was what I call a fusionaire, but he was rock and blues bass, and he wanted to hit that rock market. Then later on in his career, before he died, he reached out more to black folk who were into him already, but he wanted to reach more black folk. There's an interesting book on that, Jimmy and his Black Legacy, by an author named Corey Washington, and it's called Jimi Hendrix Black Legacy, A Dream Deferred, where he documents Jimmy's outreach to the black community, which most biographers play down because they want to keep Jimmy more or less. Oh, well, Jimmy was had only white audience, which is a no, because like I said, Corey Washington destroys that myth. So yeah, he reached out to a lot of different styles, and musicians know this. There's a lot of musicians, especially today, who get into different styles. I'm highly into gospel, and I'm Holy Ghost driven, so that's my thing for everything. And when you get these different styles in, it affects your music as well. Now, you also mentioned hip hop, Rob. Just so you know, a lot of your viewers may not know, Hendrix is on the first hip hop record.
Okay, which one?
Wait a minute, did you hear what I just said?
Yeah.
Basically, he was working with a producer named Alan Douglas, and he used to go over Alan. He used to stay in a little room sometimes and sleep back in Alan's studio, but he was going over there to record and do some things. And when he got there, in the studio was one of the Last Poets. Are you familiar with them?
The Last Poets? No.
Okay, they were the Public Enemy back in the day.
Okay,
dude, you should, if you're into Tupac, you should definitely get into the Last Poets.
Yeah.
Basically, that's like KRS, Public Enemy guys. But basically, he was in one of the members of the Last Poets was in there spitting something. So Jimmy walks in, and Jimmy says, "Oh, wow, wait a minute, hold on." And he gets his guitar, and he sits down, and he's playing a rhythm behind this guy called Lightning Rod, who was one of the Last Poets. So then Buddy Miles, Jimmy's black drummer, comes in there as well, because they were going to hang out. Jimmy and Buddy were going to hang out after the session. So Buddy comes in, and Buddy's like, whoa, stop. He gets behind the drum kit, and he starts playing with Jimmy on guitar while this guy's spitting. And the song is called Doriella Du Fontaine. You can hear it on YouTube. And then once they finished that session, Jimmy overdubbed bass and Buddy Miles overdubbed organ. Now, reason why I say it's the first hip hop record, it was recorded somewhere like 60. It was really recorded late 68, early 1969. And it had all of the features of today's hip hop, meaning a band with a with a guy spitting on top. You see what I'm saying? The basis of hip hop, which came a few years after that, of course, with Sylvia and the whole thing. But Jimmy precedes it by a couple of years. So he was in the forefront of, like you said, a lot of different styles, but a lot of people don't know hip hop is included in that style.
No, totally brand new to me, but I'll be looking that up for sure because I appreciate music for sure. So yeah, I got to check that out. As you go through those styles and through the different albums that you end up performing, what are there key sounds to each album? Like, did they change up drastically, as far as the type of sound that he was trying to deliver? Did he purposely change up, or is it like the same Jimmy all the way through, if you understand what I'm saying?
Well, it was never the same Jimmy with his recordings. The first album was a breakthrough. And the stuff on that album, he's already incorporating, like you were saying earlier, jazz. Listen to Manic Depression. That's straight off Coltrane's Favorite Things. That whole vibe, which he's trying to recreate as one of his favorite songs. And there's a lot of different new elements on that album. There's a song called "Are You Experienced?" on the album, which is straight off of Sun Ra. Are you familiar with Sun Ra?
Sun Ra, yes.
Okay, well, Jimmy met with Sun Ra twice, actually. But that song is straight out off of something that Sun Ra would do. And then you get to the second album, which is a little bit more structured. He had a little bit more time to get. And really, those first two albums were recorded pretty much the same time frame, but it's just with Axis was released later. But it's more, he's concentrating more on those ballads are superb. I tell everybody, everybody's used to hearing, as soon as you hear Hendrix, you're thinking, on the loud guitar. And I'm like, dude, listen to his ballads. Put on headphones and listen to those ballads. That's what separates him from any guitar player, even today. Yeah. Those ballads. It's the way that they're structured. So then you were concentrating on that, but then came Electric Ladyland, which he produced, and he was able to stretch out. There's a few jam songs on there where he has his buddies come and jam with him on certain things. He was able to stretch out and get more into the whole, jamming with the band sort of thing in that album, as well as, there are songs on there, but he was able to stretch out more. So each was a change. Then you got the Band of Gypsies, which he hated that album because they were never able to really rehearse and really tighten up that whole sound. Matter of fact, at the Band of Gypsies Fillmore concert, I was at 3 of the 4 performances. And there was a band that was opening for Hendrix there called the Voices of East Harlem. They were like the Kirk Franklin back then. Okay, these were kids, blah, 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 and the choir, they had a band behind them and everything. They gave me more of the Holy Ghost than the Band of Gypsies did. And there was one time that I saw Jimmy actually standing, watching them perform from the back, from behind stage, because he was impressed not so much with the kids out front, but with the band. The band was killing, much more tight than the Band of Gypsies. So, like I said, he wasn't able to develop that sound. And then everything that's released after that are just ideas of very little, if any, finished songs that they had to throw together after the guy died.
If you could pick a band that you could play with right now, from I guess any band really, what band would that be? A band that still plays today? Which one would you want to play with?
Jimy Bleu.
Well, Jimy Bleu is in another. Yeah.
I would have loved to do something with Prince, man. Like I said, listen, it'll be 50 years before they really come to at least try to figure out what this guy was doing. He was so far ahead of his time with what he was doing. When you listen to the stuff that's coming out from the vaults, it's like, holy man. I mean, he was like he was getting into classical. I mean, this guy was all over the place. I would have loved to done something with him. He reached out to other musicians and did collaborations with him. That's pretty much it, other than what I'm doing.
Would you do? Because when I think about bands, and I'm like you said, put those headphones on, and you hear all the separate instruments, and you hear just the composition. I'm thinking about like a War or a Tower of Power or somebody like that. Would you play with a band? Because I don't know if you play that style or not, but I figure you probably could.
Oh yeah, like I said, I had to do the chilling circuit, man, where we had to do top 40. And we had to play the black audiences, white audiences. We also had to play the older audience, meaning I had to sing Nat King Cole and Johnny Mathis stuff. So I do it all. I'm specializing in black music. That's my thing. But yeah, I've seen War a few times. And Tower Power, one of my favorite bands I've seen a few times live. So yeah, matter of fact, I was at the bottom line when the Average White Band smoked Tower Power.
AWB, yeah.
You know what I mean? They opened for Tower Power, and that funk was more kicking to me than Tower Power. And I love Tower Power, but Average White Band,
yeah,
those boys wasn't playing, man. They had everybody in the place going, like that. Whereas Tower Power was funky, and people,
yeah.
Average White Band, man, it was like, and plus the vocals, man. Yo, man, I love that band.
Yeah, that is awesome. That is awesome. Once again, when I want to hear a band play, that's what I put on, and it gets me every time. Man. So yeah, we got about 7 minutes left. If you I don't know if you want to go ahead and play something. I just gotta hear it, man. Just for me, I gotta hear something.
Well, you gotta keep in mind, man, it's after midnight here. So
yeah.
I can't really plug it in and stuff.
You don't gotta plug up. No.
Can you hear this?
Oh yeah.
Okay, good. All right. Because basically that's the way I gotta play, man. It's kind of late.
Yeah,
and,
that's cool. That works.
I'm gonna show you because you're gonna show a couple of videos anyway, so you're gonna hear the playing. But there's a few things Jimmy showed me because I'm left-handed. And if you notice, I play with the small E on the top. Jimmy mostly played with the fat E here on the top. He switched it over, but he was able to play both ways. He was able to play this way. You can go on YouTube and see videos of him playing this way. So he was able to show me. The other guys in the fan club, when I was around him, there was about 2 or 3 other members of the fan club. They played right-handed, but I'm a natural left-handed. So he was able to actually show me a few things. One of the things he showed me was what I call a reset, meaning if I'm playing, listen to this sound. You hear that slap?
Yeah.
I'm resetting so I can, boom. He showed me that's what he does. A lot of people don't notice that's what he's doing when he's playing. You know what I mean? But he showed me that. And then when I couldn't quite get it, he said, man, it's like slapping a woman's butt, man. So basically, that's one thing. Another thing he showed me, if a lot of people know about Hendrix, they know he played with his thumb a lot because he would use that to hit the bass notes when he played with the strings upside down from this, of course. But he used that for the bass notes. And he was able to hit chords, and his chords sound more full because he was playing the bass notes, right? I can't do that because I'm playing upside down. So when he realized that, he showed me another way of using my thumb, and I'm going to demonstrate that. Basically, I'm going to use that same E9th chord that I was doing. That's the way people would normally stroke like that, right? This is what he showed me. Basically, that's you know, just to give you an idea, man. Those are the two things that stuck with me for life, man. Basically, how to utilize the instrument more.
Wow.
And since you're into hip hop, I gave you funk demonstrations. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh man, that's awesome, man. That made my day right there, man. I'm trying to get to that point, and maybe, hey, you know, that's just amazing and awesome. Everybody is saying that as well. I just got to give you your love real quick. Jessica S is saying, "Sweet Cat's tongue, that was fun." Yes, thank you. Tricky Hillbilly Herb says, "Lulubelle gives you a heart." Chill Farm Brisbane, I got chills, and that man. Okay, okay, it's just for me, it's a lot more than that. So appreciate that, sir. And if you had to go, what are some of the your favorite Jimy songs to perform when you're on the road? Like what maybe top 3, 4 Jimy songs that you play?
The top 4, Voodoo Child is number 1 for me. Voodoo Child Slight Return, because it's the mystical sound. It's mysticism right there. And that's the number 1. Of, like I said, his ballads really touch my heart and kind of moves the audience because they're not expecting his ballads. You know what I mean? So like Little Wing, there's One Rainy Wish. These are I'm speaking of his ballads now. Yeah, I can go on and on, man, with this guy. Castles Made of Sand is another favorite of mine. You know, he talks about things that are just unheard of. Axis Bold as Love, the actual song. These are some of my favorites. There's another song called May This Be Love. Waterfall, nothing can harm me at all. So, you know what I mean? It's like, wow.
Yeah, that's different. That's different. Hendrix, yeah.
Yeah, this is what I'm saying. So you listen to a lot of these guitar players, especially the technical wizards, they don't have songs like that on their album that they're singing. They'll have another singer. But like I said, Hendrix had the whole package. He was able to put that all together. And this was thanks to Chas Chandler as well as his black drummer, Buddy Miles. A lot of people don't realize that Buddy Miles was vocal coaching him, especially on the first 2 albums. Everybody knows that Buddy Miles played drums for the demos for those albums, but they don't know that he was also vocal coaching Jimy. Jimy wasn't singing like that. When you listen to those songs, those melodies, Jimy wasn't singing like that. Buddy Miles helped him immensely, is not giving the credit. That's why I'm bringing it up.
Yeah, Buddy, I was listening to him sing. That boy has pipes. That boy was back there singing. I don't know what show it was I was watching, but he was back there playing the drums and just singing. I'm like, wow. I never heard a drummer sing at the same, I've never heard that, essentially, except for like Shirley or Phil Collins or somebody like that, Genesis. But the boy was back there blowing, and I was like, "Oh my God, this is
amazing." That's that Holy Ghost, man. That's why that gospel, black gospel. You gotta be specific. Black gospel singing. Buddy Miles was the master. As a matter of fact, Buddy Miles coined the phrase that Jimy adopted: "electric church," meaning bringing that Holy Ghost church vibe to a rock music crowd.
Yeah. It reminds me of this guy that I met I was in Job Corps years ago, and we had done this band, not a band, but we were doing a talent show where we were singing this song, an a cappella song, and he definitely reminds me of him. And he was a church guy as well, sung in choir as well. So that's actually awesome, man. Jimy, this has been fun so far. We still got another half hour to go, guys, and I'm gonna pose your questions to Jimy right after this break. So if you guys wouldn't mind, don't go anywhere and take a moment to go and hit the like button on this show tonight. We would appreciate it. It helps the algorithm as we get ready to take this break, the final break with our guest, Jimy Bleu, right here on Spaced Out Radio, the After Hours Radio Show. It's been a fun one, but we still got more to go. Want to see you right back here after the break. All right, we are clear. We are clear. So we got 5 minutes, Jimmy. If you have anything that you need to do, we'll be back on in 5 minutes.
Yeah, okay. All right. So 12:35, you'll be back.
Yep.
Okay.
Exactly. Yep.
Let me,
So I'll drop
yeah.
you off so you can do whatever you need to do.
Okay.
All right. Yes, guys. Fun show. Fun show. Outside of the box too, right? Because I know a lot of people. Obviously, this is a channel where we mainly talk about UFOs and paranormal and enlightenment, and I think music is I always say the soundtrack to life. So music is something that I think is a form of enlightenment. It's one of those necessary things that we have, and that I think is a universal thing when it comes to uniting or connecting people all around the world, right? It doesn't matter what language you speak. That guitar riff that my man Jimmy played, that resonated across the globe, right? You don't have to speak English. You don't have to. It doesn't matter as long as you have ears, and you can feel music, and I think that's what we get tonight. And I think it's a great thing to kind of go into the catalog to kind of shore up the things that we talk about, right? We have these conversations about UFOs and paranormal and Bigfoots and cryptids and things like that. Just imagine if Jimmy was playing the soundtrack in the back of those conversations. That would be pretty awesome, right? As we currently have Bumblefoot sort of doing that same thing right now, right? Yeah, I guess you could say so, right? So that's how important music is to me in my own personal life, and just the outlook that I have for music as a whole. You know, when I talk to other musicians, when I say things like I see music, they understand what that means. You know what I mean? Like visually seeing music is a thing that's common amongst musicians, but it's it's definitely, I think needed to kind of have this conversation. So I'm glad that you guys are enjoying it. I do see questions that you guys have posed, and we will be asking these. So ask away. Ask away. As we only got Jimmy here for another 30 minutes. And let's see. Yeah, Overlander BC, appreciate you. I was saying, hey Rob G, I really enjoyed your guest tonight, dude. It's pretty cool. Guys like that keep us grounded. Yeah, yeah, and he's still here, so we're gonna get back into the convo. We got about another 30 minutes, so if you have any questions that you want to pose to him, put them in caps, and I'll be glad to do that. Low C Boutique, I think. Okay, so I'm gonna I see your question, so I'm gonna go ahead and tag it. But if you can, when you put these questions up, please put them in caps just so it's easy for me to see. And I would appreciate that. Let's see. Oh, I miss you, Miss Catherine. If you still hear us, hey, you have a great night, and we will be seeing you and talking to you soon. Hope you have a great week as well. Let's see. We kind of asked this one, Lex, the favorite Hendrix songs. He was kind of just going over that at the end of the segment there. And okay, got you, JSCO 77. I like this. Music is like a canvas of the ears. Yeah, you kind of just throw that paint on there and kind of see where it lay. Put paint where it ain't, is what some people say. And let's see. Okay, got you. And Says Rob G is becoming quite the Renaissance man. There's more to me than UFOs. Let me just start there, and that's why I wanted to do this show, because this is one of the things that I really get into, and there's much more, so a lot more to come. I'm glad you saw that, and you mentioned that, and Joanne, there's a lot more on the horizon, a lot more places to go, as we got about 15 seconds before we come back from radio, bring our guest back in the building here, Jimy Bleu. 10 seconds left, guys. We are coming back. We're hot. And here we go. All right, everybody, welcome back to Spaced Out Radio, the After Hours radio show, after hour number 2 on the back half of the second hour. This is where your questions come in. We're going to go ahead and pose questions. We're going to look at a couple of videos here as well with Jimy playing that guitar, man. He definitely can play, guys. If you missed any of the show tonight, make sure you hop in the archives, absolutely free. YouTube.com/at Spaced Out Radio, as we get right back into it. And I guess we can go ahead and start this half here with some more of these videos. So we got a couple more to show, and I want to make sure that you guys get to get a good feel for what it is that Jimy is out here doing, man. And let me see what we have here. Anyone in particular you want me to play? We got the Foxy Lady Band, the Gypsies, Killing Floor, and the world's greatest tribute bands. Which one you want to see up next?
Actually, the Band of Gypsies, because that's when Jimy had 2 brothers behind him. So we recreate that as well.
All right, we're gonna bring up the Band of Gypsies here and take a look at this.
Yeah, just a little bit of it, because it's kind of long. Yo, Rob, that's hip hop, man.
Yes, that is hip hop. Wow.
Hey, Rob, there's a short one, man. You used to play, since you're out in California, you said you're not too far from LA.
Right. Yeah, about an hour north.
A few years back, we played the Whiskey A Go Go. You familiar with that?
Whiskey A Go Go. Is that a venue?
Yeah, that's downtown LA, rock venue. Actually, where Jimy played as well. It's still there. And we did a taping for a TV show called The World's Greatest Tribute Bands, which was broadcast on Access TV for 8 years. And basically, they filmed it there. And so I was on stage doing an hour of Hendrix. Jimmy never did an hour on TV, but if you could play that video, it's only like a minute.
Yeah.
Give you it's excerpts from it, but it give you an idea of what we did on that TV show.
Definitely. And that was, oh man, the last one there was funky, real funky, and we're gonna get into this one here.
Back with the new season of the. Hey everyone, it's me, Katie Darrell, and we're back with a new season of the world's greatest tribute bands.
Join us live from the world famous Whiskey A Go Go as we pay tribute to the biggest names in rock and roll: Pat Benatar, Journey, Jimmy Buffett, Jimi Hendrix, as well as special extended tributes to rock legends Prince and David Bowie. The world's greatest tribute band, September 14th on Access TV.
Wow. How did that turn out?
Oh man, yeah, I have excerpts on that on the website kisstheskytribute.com. I have excerpts of that show, but I just wanted to give you an idea of what went down over there at the Whiskey A Go Go. That's a very iconic venue, and we were very honored to actually play there.
I'm gonna have to check it out next time I'm out there for sure. Let me see. All right, we have Killing Floor and Foxy Lady, I think, is the other two. Which one do you want to go
Foxy
with?
Lady, yeah, that's short and sweet. So that's to all the ladies, man. You know how we feel about the ladies.
Yes, definitely. All right, here we go. Oh man, that's what I'm talking about. And let's see, the final one we have is Killing Floor. And let me bring that up here.
Yeah, that's kind of long though, man. You don't want to get in that.
Okay. All right. Well, I gotta say, man, it's amazing. Like I said, I can always appreciate the arts and just the ability that you have there is just amazing. So
thanks, man.
I was so glad to be able to have you on here to kind of display this and have a new friendship. Now I'm friends with Jimy Bleu out here.
No doubt, my brother. No doubt, man.
Okay. So let me go ahead and get into some audience questions. We know we have a few of these. Blue Moon, Jimy Bleu, Blue Moon. Okay, Blue Moon is asking, when did you begin the love of the guitar? Her daughter started at age 12.
My love for the guitar came when I was in performing arts. Joined the fan club in let me see, around 1968, the end of 1968. I joined Jimmy's fan club and switched my major at performing arts from horns to guitar. And I had to re-audition and everything. But basically, that's what started it with me getting tight. And then hanging around Jimmy, I picked up a lot of things that he was doing.
All right, awesome. And Joanne is asking, Do you feel as if you are channeling Jimmy when you do these shows?
Yes, basically. But when the gig is over, I take the mask off, put it in the closet, and go back to being Jimy Bleu. I love I love this guy, Jimy Bleu. You know what I mean? I'm not trying to be another Hendrix. I'm acting a part. I do the same thing with the Al Green show. I come on stage, I'm Al Green, boom. And after this show's over, it goes in the closet.
Awesome, awesome. And let me see. Xanos is asking, Jimmy, do you play any of Hendrix's original gear or anything like it? Fuzz face?
Yes, I have a pedal board with all of Jimmy's pedals that he have. Of course, it's not the same 1960s. It's a more updated version, but it's his pedals. But we use all of that to get his sound. I even have a backwards guitar pedal. Some of the songs he did had backward guitar solos, so I have that pedal as well, which he didn't have. But yeah, I have all that stuff. I do have an old Vox wah-wah pedal from back in the day, man. That's from back when he was alive. I still have that. I had it repaired twice.
All right. And let me see. We have Woo Riders DG is asking, is it harder to make it in music industry today as an artist or in the past? And has the music industry evolved the way you thought it would?
Oh, that's a great question, man. And it's almost impossible these days. You know what I mean? Unless you're down with somebody's clique. You know, to be honest with you, unless somebody putting you on, you ain't going nowhere. At least that's my experience. That's my worthless 2 cent opinion, but that's from what I see. And yeah, it's very hard, man. If you're trying to pursue a career, man, only thing I can tell you, man, is stay at it. Get your stuff out there online as best you can, the social media and stuff, and somebody's going to pick up on you. I have a nephew who does Michael Jackson's show, and he's working with Bootsy Collins. You know what I mean? Singer. So basically, he kept pushing his stuff out there online. 24 years old, and the people contacted him. The people from the MJ play. Broadway play. They contacted him because of social media. So I would suggest you just push your stuff out on social media. It'll happen for you.
Yeah, because there's some people that make it that really shouldn't on social media. So that seems the way that they do it nowadays. So I agree with that. Lasoy Boutique. Hopefully I said that right. Question: how did Jimmy's friend who was married to Miles, Betty Davis, influence Jimmy and y'all?
Wow, another great question. Betty Davis. Miles was like 40 something. She was like 20 something street. Very talented. And she introduced Miles to Jimmy. And I'm glad you brought that up. So I said, great question, man. And because there was a time where Jimmy was hanging around Miles Davis and Sly Stone. And that's because of Betty Davis. Now, listen to what I just said. Miles Davis, Sly Stone, and Jimi Hendrix for a few months were going out and hanging out. What were they doing?
Yeah.
They wasn't playing golf. What were they doing? Those three giants were hanging out together at one point. So Betty Davis is really responsible for that. She went on to record a killer album, if you're interested in Betty Davis and you're not aware of. And Rob, you should pick this album up too. Her first album is produced by Sly's drummer, Gregorico. It has all of the funky people like Larry Graham. It has the Pointer Sisters singing around. All of these funky people are on that record for Betty Davis, and he produced it. It is the funkiest stuff that you ever going to hear. So pick that up.
What's the name of the album? Do you recall?
You can find it online.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not on my mind at the moment, but oh yeah, get that album.
Okay, and let me see. Lex Diaz wanted to know: have you personally had seen a UFO or had a paranormal experience?
I did actually, but like I said, you have to be very discerning because I think I was tripping then, but I did see something. I was in one of the Mexican pyramids, and I was up on top and of the pyramid, and yeah, something would by, and they didn't have drones back then, so I know it wasn't a drone. And it went by, and then it came by again, past me, and then it zoomed out, and that's my UFO encounter, man. I'm pretty sure I saw something.
Wow, wow, wow. Let me see. We have JSCO77 saying Jimy Bleu, the song Gypsy Eyes represents the style that Jimmy had that is ahead of his time. Is there any story or anything special about that song for you?
I love the song. I don't know if anything special, but if you want an idea of what Jimmy thought about his songs, there are a couple of books out there that could say it better than I can. That's what the books are for. Some people say, "What do you think about the bios and the books about Jimmy?" And I'm like, "There's room for everybody, man, and all of it is informative." What we do with Kiss the Sky is we present Jimmy the way he did live to get an idea, but there's room for other things out there to get an idea of Jimmy, and that's one of them. There's a couple of books, I can't recall the titles now, that get into Jimmy's lyrics and the songs, the meaning of his songs. So you should look into that.
All right. And Joanne is asking, Jimmy, do you have a favorite song that you wrote?
That I wrote? Yeah, I have a gospel song that I wrote called Heavenly Blessings. That's pretty much my favorite song. But yeah, I'm into music. I'm into specifically Black music, but I listen to all kinds of music. So there's a lot of different things that I like.
Awesome, awesome. Let's see. Okay, Woo Riders DG asking, is there one moment that stands out the most in your music career, and what has kept you going all these years?
Well, one moment is of course that whole Jimi Hendrix thingy, but also later on when I got signed to Columbia, thanks to Russell Simmons. We were talking, Rob, earlier about reading music and music like that. Let me tell you something. I learned more about music from Russell than I did going to performing arts in Berklee College.
Wow. Yeah.
Now, going to those two schools, I learned, of course, technical stuff about music, and things like that. But Russell ear, and he's not a musician, but his ear was incredible. He would say certain things but didn't know the musical terms, but so I knew exactly what he meant. Where somebody else would say, what are you talking about? But his ear was incredible, and the way he made music and the way he groomed me, as a musician, as a singer. I owe that man so much.
Definitely, definitely. And let's see. And Joanne is asking, Jimmy, have you ever set a Stratocaster on fire?
Oh yeah, we used to do that a lot, but after the Great White incident where they burnt down the venue, a lot of venues don't allow us to do that anymore. So yeah, I've done that, sure.
Awesome, awesome. And looks like that was the final question there so far. So yeah, so awesome stuff, man. I really do appreciate it. Let's talk about now you and where everyone can find your material.
Like I said, my link tree, Jimy Bleu, JIMYBLEU. So that's Linktree/Jimy Bleu. That has all of my websites. It has my originals website, has my Hendrix website, has my Al Green Show websites up there. It has a link to the Hendrix lectures that I do. There's a lot of different things I do. Also, I go into the recording studio and record Jimmy. I got about 15 Jimi Hendrix songs that I recorded myself, playing drums, bass, and guitar, and singing. So you can get an idea. That link is up there too. So yeah, the Linktree/Jimy Bleu.
All right. And want to bring up the I know you got the show website here, so let me bring that up here for everyone to see. Where is it at? Okay. I think this is it here. Actually, that opens up This one. Okay, let me see.
Yeah, that's my link tree.
And then I had your actual show site where it shows your upcoming shows. So I'm bringing that up here. Okay, here we go. All right, so it shows that you have some. These are the last shows that you had set up here.
Yeah, that's being updated as we speak. As a matter of fact, that we have dates that are being added on and updated. That's KissTheSkyTribute.com.
Cry of Love Recreation Tour, Monterey Pop. Night. So I think this was it Monterey. I don't know if it was Monterey. I know I was watching one of the videos, the Hendrix videos earlier. Okay. So what is this? Jimy Bleu and Billy Cox. So this one of his former band members?
Yeah, this was basically, like I said, Billy and I are close, and I toured with him briefly. So that's when I was on stage with him.
Okay. And is there anything else on this site you want to point to?
I just would tell the audience, just deep dive the website to get more information about me, especially pertaining to Hendrix. There's a lot of stuff on that website that you'll get an idea. There's even merchandise that we're selling as well.
Okay, well, it's been awesome here. Let me show the super chat so far tonight. Can't stop sending love. I'll watch the replay. Oh, Maggie M10, yes. Appreciate you. Thanks for coming in as well. Chill Farm Brisbane, thanks for your awesome support of Spaced Out Radio on the show tonight. Throwing up prayer hands. We got Ann Joanne as well with the super sticker. Appreciate it. We have Wes Decker. Looks like over on the Social Dig. Member for 3 months. Appreciate you and helping make the channel over there go round. Let's see. And then we got Paramar trying to throw a joke in here. That's right. So much more to Rob G than just UFOs. Like, for example, he's taking up hockey as a hobby. LOL, you know, I'm not taking up hockey for any sort of hobby. Roger Murray, thanks for coming in. We appreciate you. Definitely see you next week. Keep bringing us that information. Woo Riders DG has posted the website for Jimy Bleu in the chat here. JSCO saying thanks for this show. It was fun and important as well. And that's exactly why it was a must that this happened. And I'm really satisfied with what we did here. So with that being said, Jimmy, we gave everybody the information. Do you want to leave them with maybe a positive note or anything you want to leave to the audience before we wrap it up?
Yeah, man, I just like to say, Rob, man, I have much respect for what you're doing. That's very important. And I checked out some of your shows, man, and you have my utmost respect, my brother. Just keep up the good work.
Appreciate you. We got to do some work in the future, Jimmy. You are awesome. I respect your artistry, and like I said, I tell people it's embodying because you put your all into it. You're not just playing the instrument. You're literally taking people to the moment, and keep that stuff up, man. And we will be talking soon, Jimmy.
All right, thanks for having me. I appreciate it, man.
No problem. Have a great rest of your night. Take care.
That's
All right, guys. Now with Jimy Bleu in the building. Nice show. Awesome show. Make sure you go and show some love for Jimy Bleu as we get ready to go into this final break of the night and get into hour 3 with Steve Stockton, Tales and Told, Drew Banky, the After Hours wrap up, maybe some UFO and weird news. Just make sure you come back, and I'll see you in a minute.
Conversations that move the needle.
You're listening to After Hours with Mr. Rob G on the only place where you can own the night. Spaced Out Radio.
Spaced Out Radio. You've tuned your dial to the right frequency.
All right, welcome back, Spaced Out Radio. After hour number 3, it has been an awesome show so far. Oh my God, we have stepped outside of the phenomena box, the UFO box tonight, and I love it, and I really do. As we got about 10 seconds left before we come back from break, from radio, 5 seconds, guys. Let's get ready to go. All right, everyone, welcome back. Spaced Out Radio after hour number 3, the third and final hour here. It's been a fantastic show. I want to thank our guest, Jimy Bleu, for stepping in hours 1 and 2 and giving a fantastic interview. You miss any of that, hop in the archive, absolutely free, youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. As we get ready to jump into hour 3 with Steve Stockton, Tales Untold, Missing Person Mysteries, and our guy, Drew Banky, with the after hours wrap up. And then we'll finish it off with some UFO and weird news of the week as we go ahead and get ready to jump right on into Steve Stockton. Steve, if you're listening, appreciate you being a part of the After Hours radio show. We will continue to represent you, sir, and let's get it going.
Welcome to Tales Untold and Missing Persons Mysteries on Spaced Out Radio's After Hours. My name is Steve Stockton, and I'm here to take you on a journey of mysteries, legends, and true stories. Come, join me on this strange adventure of Tales Untold and Missing Person Mysteries. Amanda Eller. Amanda Eller is a 35-year-old physical therapist and yoga instructor who wanted to go and explore the Makawao Forest Reserve on the northern side of Maui, Hawaii on May 9th, 2019. What was supposed to be a 3-mile relaxing hike to help her get closer to nature ended up turning into a 3-week ordeal that had her fighting for her life. Ellen was reported missing when she never showed back up when she said she would, and when her car was spotted parked near a vast forest reserve in Hawaii, it prompted thousands of volunteers to come out and start immediately searching the vast jungles and streams in the surrounding areas. On a Friday afternoon, 17 days after she first headed out on her hike, and less than an hour after her family had announced a $50,000 reward for information leading to her whereabouts, Ms. Eller was found with sunburn, scrapes, a torn ligament in her knee, and a broken leg. She was malnourished, but she was alive. So what happened to Amanda Eller? How had she become so lost so quickly on what was seemingly a simple and easy, relaxing trail walk through which she had gone many times before without any problems? Now, it's true the area of the reserve is 2,000 acres and has such thick vegetation and brush it needs to be hacked with machetes, but Amanda was on a trail. Here's what she had to say. Amanda claimed she was just going on the short trail walk, which she had done many times before and was really enjoying it. It was just a typical thing on a typical day. As she went off the path at one point to sit and rest, she became disoriented and confused. She stated a very strange gut instinct was pulling her into the opposite direction than the one she was familiar with and knew was right. She decided to go the way towards where she thought her car was, figuring if she just walked towards there, at least she would have a handle on where she was headed. She ended up hiking from around 10:30 a.m. that morning until midnight that night in a desperate search for her car. She admits being ready to just give up and stop trying, but claims as soon as she did, she would hear a certain very loud and strong insistent voice telling her that if she wanted to live, she needed to keep going. She stated, "As soon as I would doubt my intuition and try to go another way than where it was telling me, something would stop me. A branch would fall on me. I'd stub my toe, or I'd trip. So it seems the same gut instinct that seemed to have initially led her astray was in fact now leading her back to where she needed to be, back on the right path." Many people have started to believe that Amanda had actually been abducted. Her cell phone, water bottles, and wallet were all left behind in her car. On the 3rd day, she'd given up looking for her car and decided to start looking for water instead. However, she fell off a 20-foot cliff and tore the ligament in her knee, while the very next day, she lost her shoes in a flash flood. She was only wearing a tank top and yoga pants to begin with, and the injury and loss of her shoes slowed her down considerably. At night, she covered herself with ferns and branches and leaves. She even spent one night in a wild boar's den. She survived by eating almost anything she could find, things that were identifiable and some that weren't. She even ate moths that landed on her body. She began to crawl instead of walking and was then confronted with a seemingly impassable steep drop-off. Meanwhile, the volunteer searchers were going through their own harrowing ordeals as the search for Amanda led many of them into fast-moving streams and had them rappelling into ravines. Some even killed aggressive wild boars and searched the dead animals' intestines for Amanda's body parts. At least one searcher was attacked by a wild boar but managed to get away and survive. Amanda stated later that she had seen and heard multiple helicopters, but despite trying her best to get their attention, they never spotted her. Until eventually, one did and sent rescue. How did this woman survive so many days in the wilderness, with no shoes and with the injuries and Mother Nature seemingly against her at every single turn? Could it have been the voice she heard, loud and clear, telling her she must choose between life and death? If so, who or what was it? Luckily, Amanda chose life. Gia Fuda, 18-year-old Giovanna Fuda, or Gia as she likes to be called, decided to go for a drive on July 24th, 2020, and was headed to a town about 70 miles east of Seattle. The teenager just wanted to go and take a short road trip alone to clear her head and relax. For reasons still unknown, however, she ventured much farther than she initially set out to and ended up far past the city views of Seattle and into the wilderness and wilds of a remote area of Washington state. By 1 a.m. the next morning, when her parents had received no response back from their many phone calls and texts to Gia, and when she herself hadn't returned home or even checked in, they decided to call the authorities and report their daughter as missing. At around 10 a.m. the morning she had left her home and started her trip, she was seen on video camera in a coffee shop near the town of Index. She bought a Bigfoot keychain and left. 3 days after her disappearance, on July 27th, a transportation worker found her car nearby that shop and reported it to the police. He said he only noticed the car because of the awkward way in which it was parked. After running the license plate, the authorities found that the car was Gia's and it had run out of gas. All the doors were locked and her purse and other personal items were left inside. At this point, the police started to think foul play was involved and maybe she had been forcibly abducted. Search and rescue teams were already out and looking for her as of July 26th, but the area made it impossible to track her by pings because it was a cell phone dead zone. On August 1st, some of the searchers found Gia's belongings, such as her shoes, Bible, bag, and cell phone. These possessions were found near Scenic Creek, and just a little while later that same day, Gia was found up a steep ravine sitting on a rock next to the river. Gia stated she had panicked when her car had run out of gas and decided it would cut some of the walking distance off where she had to cut through the woods to get to a gas station. She said that she was frightened and didn't know what to do, so she grabbed what she felt was most important that she could carry and locked the rest of her possessions in her car. She was found 10 miles away from the nearest gas station. She felt that walking along the highway was too dangerous, but ended up getting lost and wandering around the forest for 9 days. She thought she was only lost for 3 days, however, as she lost her sense of time. When she was first found, Gia just kept repeating, "I don't know where I am," over and over again, as if in some sort of trance. She was eventually taken to the hospital, though, and managed to get through the ordeal with no long-term effects. It didn't go unnoticed, though, to many people who investigated or looked further into the case, that Gia had purchased a Bigfoot keychain right before going through this harrowing and terrifying ordeal. Coincidence or not? Carol Kaparsky and Ian Irwin. Married couple Carol Kaparsky and Ian Irwin, aged 77 and 72 respectively, were staying in a cottage while on vacation in the Sea Haven, Inverness, California area in February of 2020 when, on their checkout date, which was the 15th, came and went without the couple ever returning home or being seen leaving. They went missing on the 14th and left belongings, including their wallets and cell phones, in their room, and their car was also still parked where it had been the last time they were seen. Little did they know their careers would come in handy while trying to survive 8 days lost in the wilderness. Carol was an herbalist and mushroom hunter, while Ian had a background in mountaineering. When the couple were reported missing, searchers scoured the area by air, boat, and land for days, but to no avail. Finally, on February 20th, officials said their search efforts were now transitioning to a recovery effort. Now, usually this means they assumed the couple were deceased and the searchers were looking to recover their bodies. Then, 8 days after they were last seen, the 22nd, the couple were miraculously found alive and mostly well in the dense terrain with only light hypothermia to recover from. Carol and Ian told authorities that they decided to go for a simple and romantic hike for Valentine's Day, but got lost in the dark. They couldn't find their way back and survived by drinking muddy puddle water. The couple is choosing to remain silent about their ordeal and said they may eventually be able to tell of how they survived a terrifying 7 nights in the Inverness wilderness. All we do know is that one point is a bit strange. Carol willingly took her shoes off, which caused Ian to have to lay down in thick thorns so she could use his body as a kind of bridge to walk across. One can only imagine what they each could have been thinking during all this, but it just doesn't seem to make much sense. Why not just keep her shoes on and walk across? Also, how does someone get so lost, even in the dark, on such a simple hiking trail that they end up in such an extremely dangerous and dense brush area? Until the couple decide to recount their harrowing ordeal, we probably won't know the answers to this one either. Maddie Popolizio and Blake Alois. Maddie Popolizio and her boyfriend Blake Alois had just reached the top of the second highest mountain in New York State, the Algonquin, when what they planned to be just a quick day hike very quickly went all wrong. According to 19-year-old Maddie, everything was fine around noon that day. The weather was beautiful, and the couple didn't foresee any trouble at all and thought it was going to be a regular hike through the beautiful scenery of the area. They couldn't have been more wrong. All of a sudden, and seemingly out of nowhere, a fog so intense, dense, and thick came over the entire mountain, leaving the two completely blind. They couldn't see an inch in front of them. Does that sound familiar? Only in this case it's fog and not the sudden whiteout of snow from a previous disappearance. Maddie stated, "As soon as we got to the top, a massive fog came over the entire summit. It was so intense I could not see my hand in front of my face. If I wasn't latched on to Blake, I would have completely lost him." Then, when a sudden snowstorm hit at the summit, the couple decided immediately that their best course of action would be to climb back down the mountain. However, whiteout conditions from the fog and snow prevented them from seeing the trail that they had followed up. They linked arms and decided then to walk towards a clearing they thought might lead to a trail back down. Unfortunately, as soon as their feet lifted off the rock they were standing on at the summit, they plummeted down 100 feet. This unfortunate turn of events landed them on the opposite side of the summit from which they'd originally climbed up. Luckily, the couple landed on bent, snow-covered trees and, with their snowshoes, tried to climb back up the side of the mountain to get back up to the summit and reassess the situation. This didn't seem to be working, however. Despite wearing the snowshoes, the couple recalled, "Even with the snowshoes, we were just falling through massive amounts of snow." Terrified and with nowhere to go, the couple returned to the more secure spot they had fallen to on top of the trees. Then they built a wall of snow to try and block the wind and light Ian's backpack on fire with a fire starting kit they had with them. The intense winds and heavy snow prevented any fire heat from being made or generated, though, and the couple feared they weren't going to make it out of this situation alive. Their phones had no power or service, and they spent the first day screaming at the top of their lungs for help, assuming they would be rescued by nightfall. However, that wasn't the case. They spent 2 more days this way, huddled together, keeping each other as warm as they could with body heat and each trying to keep the other sane. When they were finally rescued, they were located about 265 feet southeast of the mountain summit. Ground crews eventually came upon them, still on top of the bent and snow-covered trees. The couple told of how, on the first night, Maddie couldn't feel her toes because of the freezing cold snow, and in an attempt to keep her warm, Blake emptied out his backpack and zipped it up around her feet and legs. Within minutes, she regained feeling in her toes, but useful supplies such as their knife, rechargeable crank light, and 90% of their food were lost forever in the deep snow. There were multiple times where Maddie had fallen into snow which covered over the top of her head, and Blake lost his gloves pulling her out to save her life. Luckily, the couple didn't sustain any long-term injuries or effects from their strange and terrifying ordeal. Why is it that blinding weather always comes along in the blink of an eye and makes hikers unable to see and therefore puts them at risk for major injury and incapacitation? It's the same thing over and over again and completely defies any logic or explanation. Some may say Mother Nature is just a fickle woman and changes her mind on a whim, but there are others, those of us that don't believe in so much coincidence, who wonder, is there something else at play here?
Steve Stockton tells Untold Missing Person Mysteries. Awesome, sir. Thank you for being a part of the show. Thanks for letting us lean on these stories here, which are, remember, real stories of missing people. So, definitely keep that in mind as we are listening to that segment. And I think maybe sometimes we kind of forget that they are real people and not just stories, right? So, Yeah, that part. As we go ahead and get ready to jump into our next segment here, which is the after hours wrap up. You know what time it is. It's time to bring in the guy, the man with the plan, Mr. Drew Banky.
You're an irredeemable monster!
Come here, I'm gonna eat you! Get in my belly!
Kick him in the north!
He doesn't have Nard! Go it, go it! That man's got Nard!
Bow, 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 bow.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, it's okay. The radio audience is going to wonder what in the world that was. That was Drew Banky, ladies and gentlemen. I think he was doing a guitar sound. I think that's what that was.
Watchtower. I think it was a Watchtower. I don't know.
Drew Banky with After Hours Rapper stepping in the building. You met Jimy Bleu before the show, as always with every guest. This was different. We got to step outside the box, which is what I love. It doesn't always have to be UFOs all the time. It doesn't. Why? Why every night does it have to be that? Why can't it be something different sometimes? And we dared to do that, and we did that tonight. What did you think about the show?
I think it's all connected, man. Music
is
it is music medicine, and I know just as well, from being a musician in ceremonies, especially in ceremonies, a lot of musicians use psychedelics, but using the music and vibration in ceremonies to help guide the ceremony and help people find their own healing within themselves. That's an integral part of it. And seeing music is definitely something that anyone that serves medicine and plays music knows. Like the Icaros, like the sacred Icaros, you paint the old ones will say that you paint the song inside your mind and it reverbs out from inside your mind. Like it's not the reverb from the outside. You're actually painting it inside your mind, and the reverb out is it comes out in the music, and it channels through. So I dig it, man. And he had we cracked the egg on the UFO thing right at the end. Would love to hear more about the obviously the pyramid UFO connection and psychedelic assisted CE5s. I dig it, man. I think it's something we need to look more into.
Man, you bring up a great point there, right? Because it's in the same lane, it's in the same realm as what you deal with the DMT and the other aids that are used to kind of access that other realm. And just like you said, there was a lot of people messed up at that time, but maybe they weren't. You know what I mean? Maybe they were just open, and that's another thing. Because I think that might be why there was so much music in that from that time frame that talked about aliens and extraterrestrials, not just necessarily because it was pop culture had it in their minds, because there was a lot of sci-fi stuff going on, but a lot of people were tripping back then, and maybe their channels were just open to kind of receive this stuff. So
sure,
I think that very much could be the case. But then you're right also on the music piece, as I call it, the soundtrack to life. That's always been my thing. I think whatever you do in life, music plays a part in that, regardless of what it is that you're talking about. And which is why it was kind of important to do what we did here, because I think it's part of the human experience. And a lot of what we do and we talk about is related directly to the human experience as it pertains to the phenomenon most of the time, but the human experience period is kind of the framework that I like to work in, and kind of what I do on the other channel with the Social Dig. It's all about humanity and things that affect humanity, and music is one of those things.
Absolutely. I mean, how many millions of people eardrums has Jimi Hendrix music reached? And it really surprised me for only 4 years. His career was only 4 years, and look how many monumental songs still get played to this day of someone taking a gram of mushrooms, and maybe not going into a full on blown out ceremony, but half a gram of mushrooms or a gram of mushrooms or something like that, and listen to a Hendrix song and the healing that comes through, and maybe that's the time they first see music inside their mind's eye, and or something like that. And that's a very pivotal moment. That's a big realization comes to you when that happens, and there's tons more, but that's definitely a big one that I remember the first time I saw it, and the realizations of frequency and vibration come through with seeing that and understand, you just, it's like, I don't know, the onion keeps going deeper and deeper, but that's definitely a big, slice of that onion when you're going through the process of seeing that. So it's medicine, and look how long his music has lived on. Then you got Jimy Bleu like carrying it on and helping bring it to people and maybe not have heard it before, or putting a little new twist on it, or whatever he's doing. He's helping carrying that memory on and that music on. So, and ultimately that medicine, frequency vibration is medicine, man. The future of healing. And this is not the take of SOR, it's just my own personal take, but the future of healing is frequency and vibration and music. We're going to look more into that, binaural beats, things like that. But there's things coded in, like listen to some of Hendrix's old music, Watchtower, Voodoo Child, like that stuff will take you on a journey, man, especially if you have just a small amount of anything that raises your vibration at all. It's gonna take you there.
You can just have some weed. You have some just
Anything,
weed,
man,
you know
like,
what I mean?
yeah.
But no, and I'll say I wouldn't even say the frequency vibration where it's going. It's always been that. You go back to to our times as when we were all native people, and music was a part of that experience as well. And it is all about frequency and frequencies that that's how you know that they were on the right frequency, because of the short time frame that he was around on the big stage. 4 years, what Jimmy stated, and we're almost we're 55 years removed from that since he's passed away, roughly in that time frame. You're talking about 55, 60 years ago, when the music is still powerful as it was then now.
Yeah, man.
And that's relatable to like a Tupac Shakur, who did exactly the same thing. And at this point for Tupac, it's got to be something. It's over 30 years now for him. So we'll be sitting here 20 years from now saying the same thing, on how, certain people had the correct frequency. Like they weren't just close, they were like right on, the frequency. And I wish I knew what that was, because I would be on that frequency too. So I can make sure that what we talk about kind of just resonates and lives on through the future as well. But maybe we'll find that frequency at some point.
I mean, there's so much power in music. I mean, just look at the Super Bowl, like the most recently, that Kendrick Lamar took that stage, and he put out some interesting like allegations about Drake and everything, and putting like this whole pedophilia thing on a main stage, in front of what, 40-50 million people, whatever, like, and the reverb that's coming in the news and everything, we're still talking about now, and we're a week or so away from the Super Bowl. So it's interesting times, man. And every time I look around, I just see that we're entering or and are in an interesting time in human history, man. And it's only gonna get better.
And I'll tell you what, as we got 10 seconds left for break, the Super Bowl had its impact immediately, but for most people who didn't get it, look at it 2-3 years from now and look backwards, and you'll see. Then you'll kind of really get what it was. He was on the right frequency, had his pulse on the frequency. With that being said, we're going to go ahead and jump into our final break for the night here. It's been a fun freaking show. I'm just so glad we did this. We're going to come back. We're going to talk some more with the after hours wrap up, and then I'll close it out with some UFO and weird news right here on Spaced Out Radio. Don't go anywhere, or if you do, come right back. All right, we are crystal clear.
Crystal clear.
Crystal clear. I had to get Jimmy to play that riff, man. For me, that was more for me, and that's kind of stuff. But I needed to hear that. You know what I mean? It's just hearing somebody play. We can hear it through the video, obviously, but when you hear someone just play live right in front of you, that's a different experience right there. You know what I mean?
For
And
sure.
it just people were saying chills, gave me chills, and that's exactly what it does, because we're talking about something that you bring into yourself from wherever this energy is. You're bringing it into you. You're manifesting it through your fingertips, and you're making it turn into music to frequency live on the spot. How big and how deep is that?
Yeah, it's it's like what they the old ones, they say a few things. One is they say about an artist or a musician, you're the closest. You're actually living as a creator. You're channeling, and in real time bringing what's in your heart, in your mind, in your soul, and you're bringing it through, and you're putting it through, whether it be through your fingers or your breath or whatever. Another thing they say, like for me, I'm a wind instrument guy. Like I have multiple, when I do ceremonies, I have multiple flutes, I have multiple harmonicas, I have multiple didgeridoos. So I'm a wind instrument. It come just naturally to me. Like I've never took any classes on how to play any of this stuff. It all just comes naturally. So I'm a wind instrument guy. But for people that get that are pulled towards the wind instruments, they say you're breathing for the people, because literally you're giving up your breath, which could be just a normal, and you're transforming that into a whistle, you know, or going through, whatever wind instrument, but you're giving up your breath for the people. And that's what the old shamans say about the people that use wind instruments. So you're literally being that channel. Like a lot of times when I'm in the ceremonies and leading them, whatever instrument or whatever tone or song that I'm playing at that time, it's all right there and right now. Like there's no script.
Yeah. Yeah, and I want to save some of this for afterwards, because I want to make some statements about that. So make sure you cover this again for the radio audience. But
no, it's just for the diehard YouTubers.
You just for YouTube. Oh my God. Yeah. Yeah. Let's see.
Breathing for the people. Manifire is still going 9. I think it's going 9. It's been going 9 hours straight. I can see it outside my window.
Yeah.
It's a lot of wood.
3.
A lot of wood.
Okay. And let me just hop in here. See what some people said. Lighting. Oh, Hillbilly Herb said, had a dude scream at me for lighting the joint at a Jethro Tull concert once. Put that out. It stinks. Boo, boo, boo to those people. Let me see. Paul DeMond, how deep is your love? Bee Gees. Love some Bee Gees, man. I ain't gonna front, man. Love some Bee Gees. And Joanne, he was hesitant to play, but I'm glad he did. Yeah, and I think it was more so because he's on the East Coast. He thought I meant plug in and play. No. But I told him before that, I was like, no, you don't got to plug in. Just riff on the thing. No need to plug in.
Plug in and do the first minute of Watchtower.
He's in New York. Obviously, like 1 o'clock in the morning out there when I asked him to do that. Let's see. What's
good.
a diss track? Yeah, exactly.
Oh, what's a diss track?
And let's see, going back. That's on the show up. Bomber, nice of others to show up and help hold up the stage. I see that, buddy. Let's see. Hillbilly Herb. Ever listen to music?
Never.
On weed? No, you got it. Do you know that from God, what is that from?
Was it Days of
It was
Confused?
Adam Sandler. It was Adam Sandler. He was playing this character. Yeah. It was on someone else's movie. I can't forget. Somebody in the chat will say it, I'm sure, but he was like, you could put your weed in it. You could put your weed
you
in
put
it.
your weed in there, man.
Yeah, we got half baked. We got 5 seconds. Here we go.
Half baked. There it is.
Why didn't the music play? Oh, the system crashed. Oops. Okay, so I'm gonna. Oh, that is wild. The system just shut down. Okay, guys, I'm gonna have to do the intro right at the end of the show.
Yeah, fast hand me. I can hear you.
Okay. Let me try this again. That sucks. Let me see. All right, here we go. All right, everybody, welcome back to Spaced Out Radio, the After Hours radio show. Coming back on our final break here as we get ready to jump right back into the conversation with Drew Banky joining us with the After Hours wrap-up. It's been a fantastic show so far. Make sure you hop in the archives, absolutely free. If you missed any of it, I'm telling you, for real this time, youtube.com/@SpacedOutRadio as we get ready to jump right on into the show, because that's what we do. We don't worry about hiccups. We just keep it going. And you were talking, Drew, during the break about, whistles. And I want you to go into that because I think it's important for the radio audience to hear.
Yeah, so the old ones, they talk of, well, some of the old ones, I shouldn't say all the old ones, but some of the old ones talk about music and ceremony and whether it being a string instrument or wind instrument. I'm particularly drawn to wind instruments. So like on my medicine altar, my ayahuasca altar and everything, I have 2 harmonicas. I have 3 flutes. I also have two didgeridoos. So I'm mostly pulled towards wind instruments. And one of the things they say about people like that mostly use wind instruments, they are giving up their breath for the people. So literally, instead of just taking a breath in or out, I'm actually changing the tone of my breath in that moment, whether it be a whistle or in a flute or any other wind instrument. But every breath is sacred. If you don't have a breath for a minute, if you forget to have a breath here or there, if you're coming up from snorkeling and you're a couple seconds more to the top of water than you thought you was going to be, you kind of surprised and you kind of take that breath when you come up out of the water from snorkeling or something like that, or diving too far down and then coming up and taking that breath when you come out of the water. Think how sacred that breath is to you in that moment. And that's really what you should have in the back of your mind with every breath. And when you're doing it, when you're playing an instrument and you're manipulating for the people, that's you're stepping in and being that channel for the creation, really, and bringing that vibration from the creation through your breath in that moment. So
Yeah, great way to say that. And just like I said, I had to have him play that live because that he played on a frequency that really just got me, right? It really connected with me, and it had a physical reaction, from wherever he is in the world to wherever I am in the world. sending that frequency over made that connection, and it's just awesome to see that in real time. And then when you talk about the wind instruments, like Jay-Z says some things like and it just isn't just for musicians, but he was speaking from a musician standpoint, saying like we're the whistles and the wind blows through us, right? So we just happen to be the instruments, but the wind blows through us to make these frequencies and these noises, which is the thing that's up there. Like we don't control that. It gets channeled into us, and then we manifest it in reality as the tools or the instruments, right? So he kind of pointed to that. And then another thing is like Andre 3000 from the group Outkast. So he's stopped doing music for a while, and he's come back now, and he's playing this flute. And he's literally that his instrument. He was previously a hip hop artist, had songs like Hey Ya and a lot of big songs that people know. Then he comes back and he's playing a flute, and it's just the flute. That is it. And not really like a standard flute. This is like a wooden, there's a special name for it, but it's like this wooden sort of flute. And he has a whole album that he made using that flute, just the flute. So it's the symbolism in that, and then what the wind instruments really mean.
You want me to take you a little bit deeper on the flute?
Do it.
So if you hold up a flute, most flutes have 7 holes in those, and each one of those holes and notes coordinate with a chakra. So that's why the flute is used in ceremony a lot, and that's why the Native American flute, like even if you don't do any ceremonies, like you can pull up one before you go to bed and listen to it as you go to sleep, and it's very soothing, because each one as you go through the flute and go through those tones, and I didn't realize this before until I experienced it. I just started playing the flute naturally, and I was shown why about the chakra systems in ceremony one time, because I was playing the flute and I was holding a note, and there was a few people that was going through a certain whatever they was going through in their process, like healing. But as I held this note, like the certain part, like this body, I think it was like around their heart chakra, there was like 3 people that their heart, like they was holding their heart, and like there was that you could tell they was going through a healing on their heart, but it's 3 people while I was holding this certain note on the flute. And that's when it hit me about, that's when I kind of got the download of that's why flutes are so important, because each one of those holes coordinate with a certain chakra.
And that's deep.
It's
that's
crazy,
deep.
man. Serious.
And I'll tell you what, just to kind of go further with that, because as a musician, you understand things that are sonically pleasing, right? Which means not just random notes, but music or notes that are pleasing to the ear. And I think those are being played on the right frequency. Now, we were talking to Zayshan Saldowski last week. That you weren't here for that show, but we were talking about how the people, they use frequency to create these geometric shapes. Like they have the sand in the dish, and then they put the frequency through it, and it makes these intricate patterns, and it does it exactly the same every single time, repeatable. So he was talking about how this is how the languages were being done as we were, I forget exactly what we were talking about, but the whole point was that the frequencies were recreating these shapes over and over again. So it's all about frequency at the end of the day, and that kind of goes back to why we are, and not necessarily why we're doing a music show, but why a music show fits into the entire conversation. And I'm not gonna be apologetic for this, because I know there are some people that strictly come in and want to hear spooky stories. I know some people want to come in and they want to talk about UFOs all night. Guess what? It doesn't always have to be the conversation. We can talk about other stuff, and we can bring it back around to just our experience as human beings, period. Because I think if we take a step back and do that, then it allows for all these other things to fit into the conversation.
Yeah, I mean, what did Tesla say? If you want to understand, the universe, think in the terms of frequency and vibration. So we have to understand like how music plays into that, because it's such a huge part of that block of little teaser information, what you need to focus on to understand it. Like, but there's like there's a tone that I do with the didgeridoo, and it's a tone that I heard in my near death experience, and it's a tone that I've heard a few times in ceremony and in non-medicine ceremonies. Is when you like get to source area, or like when you get to like the throne room area, there's this hum of the universe as it goes on, as the story goes on, like the whole universe. So there's this hum, and I reproduce it with the didgeridoo, and that's the only instrument that I can do that with, and it's literally what I heard in that space, and I bring it through and play it in ceremony, and people, I have people set up all the time, and they're like, man, where did you hear that sound at? And I explain it to them, and they're like, that's why I heard it from. I got knocked in the head when I was 13 years old, or what, whatever. Just all these different stories that I've heard. But that tone is the tone of the universe without any interruption, without any manipulation or anything. It's just a standard hum of the universe, of the creation. And yeah, the didgeridoo is the only instrument that I've found to be able to reproduce that, and channel it from. I listen to it, and I change the didgeridoo tone, whatever, a little bit extra push here and there, and to get it to that correct tone. And when I do, I'll walk around the ceremony, and man, people recognize that. And it's something we all recognize deep down. Like, even if you never heard it before, like once you hear it, you would definitely like, oh, okay, I remember hearing that at one point in my lifetime.
Awesome stuff, Drew Banky. I think we had a great show tonight. I loved what we did, and it's another item to add to the catalog of the message that we tried to convey through this show. And I'm just yeah, I think it was a great show. So I appreciate you being a part of that and wrapping this thing up with me. We're going to be doing this again next weekend, sir. Actually, I'll be one of those days I'll be off. So I'll hit you up and let you know. But outside of that, do you have anything you want to leave the audience with?
No, just much love. We're in a awesome time right now, and just embrace it. And it's about unity, and that's what the ultimate message of that we're gonna all learn at the end of this. So the sooner you learn it, the easier it is these times. So unity and love, and we're all one, brother.
That is true fact. Drew Banky with the After Hours wrap up, sir. I will be talking to you shortly. Outside of that, take care.
All right. Talk to you later.
Yes, sir. All right. That's Drew Banky with the After Hours wrap up, guys. We're going to go ahead and move right on into some UFO and weird news. If you don't mind, we got a couple stories here, guys. So let me try to cue that up, which I've done. Let's do it.
Ladies and gentlemen, can I please have your attention? I've just been handed an urgent and horrifying news story. I need all of you to stop what you're doing and listen.
All right, UFO and weird news of the week. So, a man shared what he saw when visiting heaven and hell in near-death experience following car crash. A formerly religious man who lost his mother to cancer at the age of 22 said he developed a bitterness towards God. Although Jeff accepted Christ as a young boy, he blamed the Lord for taking her life away. He became a police officer and started to excessively drink to fill the void. Although happily married, Jeff suffered from depression up until his life changed forever in 2014. In April of that year, he was involved in a life-threatening car crash and went through several surgeries in ICU. During that time, Jeff said his heart stopped and visited heaven and hell. Quote, I felt my soul leave my body, and I remember seeing darkness, he recalled to 700 Club Interactive. And also fog on the floor and on the ceilings. I went to a place where there was a black void. Quote, and I remember crying out to Jesus, Jesus, help me. During his visions, he witnessed an image of a young version of his mother who was washing her arm. Jeff claims that this symbolized washing and meant that he needed to, for me to get my, for me to get clean and clean up my act. After the near-death experience, he quit drinking and started to believe in God again. He and his wife now run JNS Ministries and plan to offer Ghanaian Fishing Lodge. Jeff said, the alcohol contributed immensely. So to my chronic depression, I was a binge drinker. I used to keep a bottle of tequila in the fridge. I would put it in the freezer so I wouldn't have to waste time with the shot glass. One time I drank so much that I blacked out in the back of my house in my utility room. And when I woke up, I didn't know where I was in my own home. His wife added, I was always full of fear for Jeff's safety when he was drinking, especially. I didn't want him to be in an accident. I didn't want him to be somewhere where he was just passed out and not able to take care of himself. I never stopped praying for Jeff. I knew that he could be better than the alcoholism and the man that he was becoming. I knew he was better than that. On the car accident, he added, it honestly sounded like an explosion. I blacked out. I vaguely remember hearing the car skidding. Please drink responsibly, guys. If you drinking isn't the answer to deal with traumas. Let's just say that. So if there is I'm sure a line that you can call. I wish I had the number because I think it's responsible to give that out. If someone has it in the chat, definitely put that out there. As we go into the next story here, this one is Joe Rogan addressed best ever UFO footage caught on camera that had authenticity 100% confirmed. The podcast host said the mysterious object looked like it's from another effing world. At this stage in the game, we've all seen the clip of what is supposedly the best ever UFO footage ever caught on camera, more times than we care to count. But not everyone has heard what Joe Rogan has had to say about this. Although his passion for the subject might have fooled you into thinking he's an extraterrestrial expert, the 57-year-old is actually just an enthusiast. He's invited a plethora of guests on his podcast, The Joe Rogan Experience, to discuss the topic, while previously saying he is 100% convinced the aliens have visited Earth. The UFC commentator even chewed the fat with President Donald Trump about the prospect of little green men coming down from space in November of last year. So when the footage of a UFO, which was pretty hard to argue against, went viral a few years ago, Rogan obviously wanted to put his 2 cents in. In June of last year, Rogan welcomed America's Got Talent judge Howie Mandel, 69, onto his podcast and just couldn't resist showing him the video. Explaining that people were calling it some of the most compelling UFO videos ever recorded, Rogan went on to say that he had been unable to think up an explanation for it. Quote, they freeze framed it. It looks like a flying disc. He told Mandel about the strange object in the sky. Quote, I mean, what in the F is that? Rogan's guest claimed that he had previously encountered a UFO himself, while suggesting that the flying object in the clip was traveling at a similar speed. In response, Rogan said, quote, but you have to take into consideration that this plane is moving in a specific direction and the UFO is moving in the opposite direction. Quote, so it looks much faster than it actually is. Even if that was a Mylar balloon, if you're passing it that fast, I mean, I don't know what you're getting there. Quote, to me, that looks like it's from another effing world. He explained that he was unsure whether it was merely a distortion in the footage, which made him think this, or because the flying object was actually alien related. Quote, that looks very distinct, Rogan went on. It's so fascinating, man. I mean, I was a cynic. I'd say, oh, it's an effing balloon. But it's weird because it's not moving that fast if the plane is not moving that fast if the plane is moving. At the time, Rogan wasn't too sure if the clip was even legit or not. However, pilot Jorge Ortega later came out to confirm it was in fact authentic. Ortega was swooping through the skies above Antioquia, Colombia, when he spotted the object emerging through the clouds and zooming past the cockpit of the small plane he was flying. The quick-thinking pilot incredibly juggled his controls with his camera to capture the extraordinary moment as he and his co-pilot watched in awe. Ortega said the object had initially been stationary before appearing to float in the air between Medellin and Santa Fe. He claimed it then drastically picked up speed and beeline towards them, resulting in him maneuvering the plane to follow the UFO. Ortega insisted that it didn't look or behave like a balloon, drone, or plane, but he didn't manage to track it down. After starting to hunt the flying object, the dad is said to have become alarmed when it started moving towards the plane, seeing him abandon the search in fear. He reckons that it would have been too cold and too turbulent for it to be a balloon. As he says, it would have popped or blown away at 12,500 feet in the air while that close to another aircraft. But the jury's still out on what exactly it was. Ufologist Jimy Bleu, who famously unveiled the 2 alien corpses in Mexico last year, also threw his weight behind the claims, insisting the footage was genuine. Sharing a snippet of their chat on post on X, Bleu captioned the clip, "We're facing one of the greatest UFO evidences of all time," captured by the captain pilot aviator Jorge Ortega. He also thanked retired pilot Lieutenant Ryan Graves for analyzing and validating the clip alongside him, which brought them both to the conclusion that it was a UAP or UFO anomalous object. Musan said that Ortega told him the object in the video is something totally unknown, without means of propulsion, with movements that he considers intelligent. Yeah, and that's what we're finding out more and more that regardless, whatever these objects are, manned or not, they seem to show awareness and intelligence. And hopefully we'll get some answers to some of this stuff here. That has been the UFO and Weird News of the Week. I want to thank our guest, Jimy Bleu, for hours 1 and 2, coming in and being awesome, giving a great interview, giving us something different to talk about in this field. Because I think it's refreshing, it's needed. I want to thank Drew Banky coming in, wrapping up the show with me on After Hours Wrap Up. Steve Stockton tells Untold Mr. Person Mysteries. We also want to thank the man that you hear right there, Rob Bumblefoot Dahl. He's the man that rocks us out each and every weekend. He teaches us and tells us to never say never again because, yes, the phenomenon is real, which means anything and everything is possible. If you appreciate it and want to show love for the show tonight, make sure you throw your horns up because we would appreciate that. Also, we want to thank our viewers and listeners whenever and wherever in the world you may be listening from. Thanks for tuning your frequency to Spaced Out Radio, where we do what we do best. What's that, you ask? We own the night. This show has been copyrighted SOR Media Business Limited, Spaced Out Radio. It is a pleasure serving you once again as your host. I am Mr. Rob G. This is the After Hours Radio Show. And to all you space travelers out there, this isn't a goodbye nor a farewell. However, you can best believe as we go off air for the night, we will be right back here, same time, same place next week. Much love to everyone out there. Take care. All right, we are clear. We are clear. Great show tonight. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Something different, not the usual stuff. We'll do more of this stuff too. Regardless if the numbers support it or not, regardless if the masses want to see a show like this, we're gonna do what feels cool and natural and comfortable, and kind of give you a break from some of the stuff, because I think there's a lot more under the sun that we could talk about as it affects humanity, right? As long as it affects the human being and maybe makes your week a better week, we're going to do it. So hopefully this show does that. We're kicking off this Sunday. You're going into the work week. You're going to have an awesome week. And let me see who Dave Scott has coming on the show this week. Let me see. Just give me a second. Just give me a second, and I'll check for you guys here. Boom, 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 boom. All right. I really don't like YouTube on the browser, but here we go. Okay, tomorrow's show should be... That's tomorrow. Okay, so do you believe monsters and legends are real? Christian McLeod, who I interviewed before, great guy. That should be a great show. Make sure you guys are here for that, and I will see you guys next week. We're going to do something really awesome. I don't know yet. We'll figure it out. As soon as I know, you'll know. You guys have a great rest of your night. Take care. We want retribution. Go ahead, rock out as we get up out of here. Take care.
Cause we want retribution. Oh yeah, we want retribution. Oh yeah, we want retribution.